Chapter 1276. The southern god realm was located in a sacred land amidst a sea of stars. Celestial mountains floated in the middle of the sea of clouds, shrouded in celestial energy. The gods of the southern god realm lived here for generations. The Palace of Gloom was a palace that was connected by two celestial mountains. The two celestial mountains were connected by a long corridor in the air, which made this place seem even more mysterious. Although the Palace of Gloom was called the Palace of Gloom, it was actually made of gold and copper tiles, intersecting with each other. In addition, the two celestial mountains were connected by a dense forest and surrounded by clouds and mist, making this place seem like a celestial realm. Thunder God Luowen was a second-rank higher god of the southern god realm. He controlled the strongest power in the southern god realm. Ever since he ascended, he was worshipped as the ruler of the southern god realm. At this time, the dim palace was solemn. The light of the setting sun was reflected on the glazed floor tiles of the main hall. The floor tiles were reflecting the huge pillars that two people could encircle, and the ancient characters above them were reflected one by one. Thunder gods stood beside the throne. Below the throne were a dozen or so righteous gods who stayed behind to guard the Gloom Palace. All of them were silent. Clatter, clatter, clatter. A crippled god clad in armor walked into the great hall accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps. His gaze was ice-cold as he said, "An incense stick's worth of time ago, the figures of the Titans appeared 150 kilometers to the east. They have already destroyed 3 spirit mountains in a row and they are currently absorbing the energy within them. Lord Thunder God, if we do not attack now, I'm afraid that the entire southern god realm will be destroyed in a single day." Thunder God said indifferently, "How many Titans have come?" 5 in total, divided into 2 groups. Oomph. At this time, a middle-aged man at the front of the gods in the main hall stepped forward and cupped his fists. "Thunder God, the Thunderluan tribe has already attacked the Devil Realm. We don't know where their main force is, but some of the evil Titans have already invaded our southern god realm. This is not a crisis that we can handle alone. Please send a distress signal to Mount Dashang immediately. The gods have gathered there and will definitely be able to solve our crisis." Mount Dashang? Thunder God smiled. "Dong Yi, have you forgotten that we were chased out of Mount Dashang? The gods of Mount Dashang don't care about our southern divine realm at all, so why should we go and humiliate ourselves?" The Thunderluan tribe destroyed the demon world in one fell swoop, and they are determined to conquer the 6 realms. Their next target will definitely be the Dashang Mountain, and not us. Don't worry, it's just 3 to 5 Titans. We'll gather our strength and annihilate them in one fell swoop. But, Thor, Dong Yi frowned and said, "Even if there are only 3 to 5 Titans, we can't underestimate them. It is said that these Titans are all brave and invincible. Even the Holy King of the Demon Realm is no match for them. We lack manpower, so I'm afraid we're no match for them." Ha! The god of thunder could not help but laugh wildly. He pointed at Dong Yi and said, "Dong Yi, as a second-tier god, you actually dare to say such insulting words to the gods. No wonder the Mahayana Heavenly Tao conferred you the title of God of Cooking. Looking at you, I'm afraid that only washing rice and cooking are suitable for you. If you don't dare, I'll lead the southern gods to kill Titan." Dong Yi's face alternated between red and white. He said, "God of Thunder, if you insist on doing things your own way, I'll go with you." That's right. Gods, follow me to kill the enemies." "Yes, my lord." But at this moment, a buzzing sound came from the sky, as if the sky was trembling. What followed was an oppressive feeling that could crush everything. The bricks and tiles of the main hall were shattered. "What's wrong?" Dong Yi was shocked. With a loud bang, the main hall was smashed into pieces. A blood-red warhammer landed on the glazed floor, followed closely by the huge body of a Titan. Who else could it be other than Lei Lun? "Bastard!" The god of thunder, Luowen, roared angrily. He raised his spear and dashed forward. Light flowed on the tip of the spear and instantly turned into thousands of lightning bolts that swallowed Lei Lun's body. But when the lightning bolts were less than 30 centimeters away from Lei Lun's body, they were suddenly blocked by an energy shield. For a moment, the shield was ravaged by the lightning bolts, leaving fiery red marks on it. But the shield remained standing. "You want to fight against my race?" Lei Luan's mechanical voice was tinged with ridicule. His left fist rumbled as he punched at Thor with the power of Zeus's lightning. Thor hastily withdrew his spear and blocked it in front of his chest. With a roar, he condensed a huge lightning shield to protect his body. Bang! The two thunder powers intertwined. Although Lei Luan's punch wasn't able to break the shield, his huge fist still swept across Thunder God's shield. Immediately, Thunder God couldn't help but be blasted away. His divine power shield broke through two huge pillars, and finally, its energy was exhausted. Thunder God was blasted out of the palace hall by Lei Luan's fist. "Save the God of Thunder!" The gods shouted, but it was too late. Figures fell from the sky one after another, creating ripples of energy in their wake as they trampled all the gods of the Southern God realm to death, causing blood to spurt everywhere. Outside the hall, a bolt of lightning suddenly grabbed the body of the cooking god, Dong-I, and threw him into the air. Dong-I was in the wind, but he heard the angry roar of the thunder god, Luowen, "Go to the eastern god realm, live." Behind him, a huge silhouette leaped into the air. After a lightning bolt, a huge metal foot stomped on Thunder God. It was Lei Luan's attack, and it was extremely powerful. Bang! An air current surged and lightning crackled. The god of thunder summoned a shield for the second time and raised his arm to block Lei Luan's attack. But how could he block it? With a loud bang, the god of thunder's body sank several meters into the ground. The entire Gloom Palace sank almost half a meter, and many of the buildings were on the verge of collapse. The god of thunder's divine power dissipated in the air. He was dead. God of thunder, Dong-I glanced behind him and saw countless black figures in the sky. The Titans had descended one by one, and they had appeared in a place that none of the gods in the god realm had expected. They had actually chosen the Southern God realm as their second destination after the Devil realm. Dong-I endured the pain and tears in his eyes and flew towards the Eastern God realm without looking back. Behind him, countless crippled gods of the Southern Celestial world rushed out and clashed with the Titans of the Thunder Luan tribe. In an instant, streaks of fiery light appeared on the two great spirit mountains where the Palace of Gloom was located. The Southern Celestial world was completely defeated, and their army was close to annihilation. Half a day later, a figure appeared in the sky. Dong-I had used up almost all of his divine power to fly, and he fell from the sky towards the Hall of Great Accomplishment like a meteor. "He's here." Wei Cho leaped and lightly carried Dong-Yi's body into his arms. Then he floated into the hall. In the Great Hall, all the gods of the Eastern God realm were already present. Even Shi Yen, Dong Ming, Lao Hua and the others were present. Each and every one of them had solemn expressions on their faces. More than half a day ago, Chu Yao had already prophesied that the Southern God realm was about to be destroyed. Now, Dong-I had finally arrived and brought back a definite piece of news. 7 Luminaries Emperor, Dong-I knelt on the ground wearily and said with tears streaming down his face, "The Southern Heaven realm is gone, all gone." The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor sat on the throne and frowned. "I know, I already know." Dong-I cried, "Lord Thunder God, more than 20 righteous gods and tens of thousands of crippled gods are all gone, I know." The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor was a little helpless and waved his hand. "We are the protectors of the Mahayana Heavenly Way, just like the Southern Heaven realm. We will definitely not stand by and watch. Soon, we will set off for the Southern God realm to fight. Dong-I, go and have a good rest first. If you have enough divine power, you might be able to do your part for the Mahayana Heavenly Way." "Yes, I will take my leave." Dong-I was led by Chu Yao to the residence that had been arranged for him in advance. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor took a deep breath and said, "Now you can tell me, why did you stop us from heading to the Southern God realm half a day ago?" "That's right, why?" Xiao also asked. Lin Muyu took a step forward and said calmly, "You saw it in the illusory pool. Lei Luan gathered more than 1,000 mutated titans to attack the Southern God realm and destroyed the entire Southern God realm in one go. Other than Dong-I, not a single one of them survived. At this moment, Lei Lun has already planned to use the Gloom Palace as their foundation in the God Realm. If we go to the Southern God Realm now, it would be equivalent to going head-to-head with their 1,000 titans. This is definitely not the best time to attack. Shi Yen nodded her head in agreement and smiled. Yu's judgment is very correct. This is definitely not the best time to attack. Dong Ming asked, then when do you think is the best time to attack, Martial God? Lin Muyu said, the reason why the Lei Lun tribe occupied the Southern God Realm is very simple. They are after the core energy of the Spirit Mountains. Therefore, once they gain a foothold in the Gloom Palace, they will definitely send the Titans to disperse and absorb the energy of the various Spirit Mountains. As far as I know, the Spirit Mountains in the Southern God Realm are very far away from each other. The closest one to the Gloom Palace is at least an hour's flight away. This will make things easier. We can use the time difference to continuously kill the Titans that are absorbing energy from the various Spirit Mountains. Xiao chuckled. Yes, Yu is still the one who sees things clearly. Then let's wait. Lei Lun will definitely separate the Titans to destroy the various Spirit Mountains. There's no need to wait, they have already started. Feng Jixing pointed at the illusory pool and the water surface immediately rose. Within the dense mist, the Titans around the Gloom Palace appeared one by one and scattered in all directions. Is this the best time? Wei Chou asked. Lin Muyu nodded. The 3 teams will act separately. Let's go. We must eliminate them before they can absorb the powerful energy. Yes, all right. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Shi Yen nodded respectively. After the time it took for a joss stick to burn, 15 streams of light separated into 3 teams and left Mount Deshang. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the vast starry light. Chapter 1277. Under the dazzling starlight, a few figures streaked across the sky like dragonflies and disappeared into a deserted spirit mountain. After a day and a night, Lin Muyu and the others finally arrived at the edge of the southern celestial world. They were not in a hurry. If they were too impatient, they would be easily discovered by the Titans of the Lei Lun tribe. On the side of a pitch-black cliff, Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and Wei Chou straightened their bodies and stuck close to the cliff. They had lowered their auras to the point where they could not be discovered. Lin Muyu glanced to her right and saw that Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were also standing with their backs straight against the rock wall. Unfortunately, looking from top to bottom, she could still see the 4 tall peaks. Usually, it would be pleasing to the eye, but now, it was easier to be discovered. Lin Muyu exerted a little force in her palm and immediately, a short pine branch was pulled over quietly, blocking the 2 girls from the spot that should not be exposed. Hiss, hiss. The screeching of the Titans came from the sky. When they looked up, they saw a total of 10 figures. All of them had bodies of steel. Their bodies were wrapped in faint spiritual energy and they left long trails in the sky. It was a patrol team. The people of the Lei Lun tribe were not fools. They were very cautious about the safety of their surroundings. Feng Jixing looked up at the patrol team and said, there are 10 of them in total. The leader is rather strong. His aura is not inferior to that of a first-tier high god. This is going to be tricky, Lin Muyu nodded and said in agreement, don't alert them unless absolutely necessary. The 5 of us against 10 titans? I'm afraid, Tang Xiaoxi smiled. Why? Can't we beat them? We can, but someone will definitely get hurt. Once someone gets hurt, it will be hard to tell who will win. Lin Muyu let out a sigh and said, since there are already patrols of the Lei Lun tribe here, it means that they have already expanded their sphere of influence to this area. Let's go. We will search in the opposite direction of the patrol team. We will definitely find something. All right, let's go. The 5 of them leaped into the air at the same time, transforming into streaks of light that flew along the mountain range and into the distance. Not long after traveling for less than 20 kilometers, they saw a spirit mountain trembling majestically in front of them. The spirit mountain's spiritual power was starting to dry up. Above it, the 3 titans continuously swung their iron hammers and smashed it from afar. The spirit mountain's core was already in danger, and it could explode at any moment. Then, the spiritual power would leak out and be absorbed by the titans. Roar, The Titans let out low roars of satisfaction as they attacked. Just as Elder Tai Lon had said, these Titans had already fallen into the abyss of darkness. They were no longer the Titan god race that yearned for the light. In their hearts, power was already greater than everything else, and they did not care about the life and death of all living beings. A spirit mountain represented thousands of living beings on the corresponding plane. Their lives and deaths were all shaken by these simple yet violent attacks. Amidst the fog, Wei Chao's eyes could see the furthest. He said, "Lin General, we have to act quickly. Otherwise, we will lose this spirit mountain in the blink of an eye." Lin Muyu said, "Prepare to act. Wei Chao, you will first kill the Titan in the middle. I will attack the left. Big Brother Feng and Xiao Shi will attack the one on the right. Xiao Yin will hold the line. You will help whichever side needs help." As she spoke, blood-colored lightning appeared on her arms. The power of the sacred martial had already been bestowed to everyone around her. Squeak squeak, Wei Chao suddenly drew the Ho Yi bow. The bowstring creaked as it was pulled taut. An arrow that carried the divine power of punishment condensed on the bowstring. He pointed it into the distance, giving off the aura of looking northwest, shooting the celestial wolf. The arrow pierced through the air like a rainbow piercing through the moon. With a muffled sound, an arrow accurately shot into the heart of the Titan in the middle from a distance of only 2,000 meters. Immediately after, there was an explosion. This was the power of retribution. A huge, bloody hole exploded in the Titan's chest. The Titan roared angrily. The other two Titans also quickly looked over and roared angrily. "Go!" Lin Muyu raised the Shenyuan sword and shot out like a sharp arrow. Without waiting for the Titan to move, she slashed down from the sky with the power of the AO sword tactics. Bang! The sword light was dazzling. The Titan raised its iron arm to block, but it could not resist the sharpness of the Shenyuan sword at all. The blade floated with white air waves. It was cold and sharp, and it directly cut off the thick iron arm. Under Lin Muyu's low roar, the second attack came out. A fierce diagonal slash cut through the Titan's heart. At the moment when the heart was cut open, Lin Muyu not only saw the Titan's heart, but also a ball of bright blue energy. It was very holy. This was a power that did not belong to the Titan at all, but at this moment, this ball of energy formed another heart of the Titan, supporting his energy source. After his body was cut open, he still did not die. He suddenly raised his leg and kicked at Lin Muyu's waist. "Be careful!" Lin Muyu easily dodged to the side and cut off the Titan's leg. She whispered, "They have two hearts. They must be destroyed to be completely killed." She opened her left hand, and lightning flashed. She attacked quickly, grabbed the ball of blue energy and crushed it. Swoosh! At the moment when the blue energy was shattered, a floating figure appeared with the energy. It was a girl. She smiled at Lin Muyu, and then disappeared in the wind. It was the divine sense. Yes, it was the divine sense of the gods beyond the heavens. They had never died, but had fallen into a deep sleep. Lin Muyu killing the Titan was equivalent to freeing their imprisoned divine sense, which could be considered a great merit. On the side, Qin Yin's Dong Hua sword pierced into the injured Titan's other heart, destroying it together. Not far away, Feng Jixing and Tang Xiaoxi's joint attack killed the third Titan. They destroyed two of its hearts, completely destroying the Titan's life. Two divine figures appeared in the sky again and disappeared with the wind. No one knew where they went, but at least they knew that they left with smiles. Boom, boom, boom. Only then did the corpses of the three Titans slowly fall to the ground, landing on the crumbling spirit mountain. "Let's go." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Let's head east. Their patrol team will be here soon. We'll fire a shot and change our location so that they won't be able to track us. Remember to maintain your stamina and divine power." But the four of them nodded and then flew east under Lin Muyu's lead. Just like Lin Muyu's plan, under the sneak attack of the five-man team, they killed 3 to 4 Titans in less than 2 minutes. Moreover, they killed them almost without any losses. The gods on their side didn't even suffer a single injury. In less than 2 hours, more than 20 Titans had died under the attack of the 5. The results were outstanding, but it was far from enough. Buzz, buzz. A slight trembling sound came from the space. Qin Yin frowned and said, "The Spirit Mountain 5 kilometers northeast. Quick, this Spirit Mountain can't hold on much longer." By the time the 5 of them arrived, it was already too late. 3 of the Titans swung their battle axes and hammers repeatedly, breaking through the core of a Spirit Mountain. Meanwhile, the other 2 Titans had already opened up the shells on their chests and were madly absorbing the energy and spiritual energy leaking out of the Spirit Mountain. The 2 hearts at their chests kept flashing, seemingly extremely satisfied. There are 5 of them in total. Lin Muyu stood in the dimensional space, her cloak fluttering in the wind. She said, "We have to get rid of all of them once we get out. Wei Chou, how many can you kill before they notice us?" Wei Chou smiled, his face full of confidence. "I can kill the 2 Titans whose hearts are exposed in an instant." All right. Lin Muyu had absolute confidence in Wei Chou's abilities. She said, "We'll attack on the count of 3. I'll take the one on the left, Xiao Yin will take the one in the middle. Big Brother Feng and Xiao Shi will continue to attack the one on the right. Wei Chou will take care of the 2 Titans who are absorbing spiritual energy. We have to end the battle quickly. We can't let them hold us back." "All right. 1, 2, 3. The 4 of them turned into streams of light and left the dimensional space, whistling through the air. As the 4 of them disappeared, Wei Chou placed his right hand on the bowstring and took out 4 arrows. He suddenly drew the Ho-E bow and shot 4 arrows at once. In the entire world, only a prodigy in archery like him could shoot 4 arrows at once. As the bowstring hummed, the 4 arrows shot out at the same time, piercing through the hearts of the 2 Titans. Instantly, the process of them absorbing spiritual energy came to an abrupt halt, and their bodies fell rapidly. Clang clang. In the sound of metal and stone colliding, Lin Muyu suddenly slashed at the Titan's chest with 2 swords. These 2 swords only damaged its carapace. The Titan raised his arm and swung his battle axe wildly at an extremely fast speed. Lin Muyu's movements were even faster. She stepped on the void and bounced backward. After a refraction in the air, she attacked again. The Xianyuan sword quickly struck twice, making a cross in front of the Titan's chest and successfully killing it. On the other side, Qin Yin's attack was not so smooth. After all, without the power of the AO sword tactics, Qin Yin could only break the blood-red shield of the Titan in the middle. The hard iron arm of the Donghua sword was also blocked by the hard iron arm of the Titan. The sound was not the sound of metal and stone colliding, but the sound of energy colliding. The power of this Titan was not simple. You righteous gods of the Mahayana heavenly path really don't know what's good for you. The Titan roared and punched out with his iron fist. Bang! Qin Yin was shaken and flew back. The cloak wrapped her graceful body, and she looked a little embarrassed. But at this moment, the Titan suddenly couldn't move. A sword chi burst out from his chest, and the image of the blade of the Xianyuan sword emerged. It was Lin Muyu's surprise attack from behind. The blade swept across and almost cut the Titan's chest in half. 2 hearts were destroyed at the same time. The violent sound instantly became one, and he died a tragic death. "Xiao Yin, are you okay?" Lin Muyu asked with concern. "I'm fine." Qin Yin shook her head and smiled sweetly. "I seem to be holding you back. It's nothing." Lin Muyu turned around and saw Feng Jixing raise his palm. Under the power of wind control, the last Titan's arm was shredded by the strong wind, and Tang Xiaoxi's flames melted the Titan's chest armor. 2 flashes of light flashed. It was Wei Chou's 2 sharp arrows. The Titan's defenses were immediately torn apart, and he was killed. Flying over with the Ho-E bow, Wei Chou said, "Lin General, it's already a little tricky for us to deal with 5 Titans. If the Demon Emperor and Shi Yan's 2 teams meet us, I'm afraid it'll be even more troublesome, right?" "Yes, so we need to speed up and kill more Titans. At the very least, we need to weaken their strength as much as possible before Lei Luan discovers our plan. After that, even if we fight the final battle, we'll be invincible." "Yes. Let's go. We can't stay for long. They'll be here soon." In the starry sky, 5 figures disappeared without a trace in a flash, like swift fish disappearing among the water plants. Chapter 1278. The Pure Yang Realm was a plane located at the edge of the southern starry sky. At this moment, the spiritual mountain corresponding to the Pure Yang Realm was being bombarded by 4 titans. The entire plane was in danger. The tremors of the spiritual mountain were naturally seen in the mortal world. Nine Yang City was the center of the Pure Yang Realm, the capital of the Celestial Empire. At this moment, Nine Yang City seemed to be experiencing an unprecedented catastrophe. The ground shook violently, and countless meteors fell from the sky, creating deep ditches and pits between the palaces and residences. Flames shot up into the sky, and countless living beings cried and howled. "Protect the Emperor!" Royal guards dressed in dignified golden armor surrounded the emperor with long swords and shields. This 27-year-old emperor was called Lingtu. From the age of 19, he had been fighting all over the world, continuously recovering the lost territories of the Celestial Empire. 7 years ago, he won a great victory in the north and destroyed the nomadic Wind Empire. 5 years ago, he went west and destroyed 19 small countries, establishing the first Celestial Empire Protectorate of the West in history. 3 years ago, he went out to the sea to conquer the Wind Nation. Within 2 years, he pacified the Wind Nation and unified the world. After that, he created a unified currency and allowed merchants to travel freely. The entire Celestial Empire was full of life, but no one expected that a calamity would come and cause such a calamity. Lingtu's clear eyes looked up at the sky, where dark clouds rolled and thunder rumbled. He murmured, "Is this a calamity? What are those who are trying to destroy us?" In the sky, blood-red figures could be faintly seen. They were like machines, waving battle axes and iron hammers, crazily smashing the sky of the Pure Yang Realm. Countless cracks appeared, and those meteors rained down, causing the ground to tremble and all living beings to perish. At the side, Prime Minister Fu Wuji said, "Your Majesty, those are the evils of the heavens, the calamity of all living beings. I don't know what they are, but they are controlling our fate. Send my order, invite the Grand Warlock here. I want to know, what are those rampaging in the sky? What right do they have to control the fate of our Celestial Empire? What right do they have?" Lingtu was very angry, but the meteors in the sky kept falling. After a loud bang, hundreds of royal guards were turned into ashes. The meteors were just a type of energy, and when they fell, they would explode with the power to burn the heavens and destroy the earth. Roar. In fact, the people on the ground could even hear the evil titans roar. Countless civilians squeezed together in despair, watching the scene of the apocalypse descending in the sky helplessly. The entire Nine Yang City was being vaporized and bathed in fresh blood. However, no one could stop this. At this moment, the aged Grand Wizard in a white cloak walked over shakily and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, what are your orders? What is that thing in the air?" The Emperor asked. The Grand Wizard looked up at the sky, his aged eyes filled with helplessness. "The ancient divine weapon is not something that we can control. Your Majesty, please open the altar immediately and pray for the people." "Pray for blessings?" Lingtu said angrily, "You want me to pray for blessings when all living beings are about to be destroyed? I am the ruler of a country. Do I only have to pray for blessings?" Prime Minister Fu Wuji understood the Emperor's character better. He said in a low voice, "Great Wizard, His Majesty needs to know the truth. He needs to know what the monster that destroyed our Celestial Empire is, and not blindly pray for blessings. Do you understand?" The Grand Shaman let out a long sigh. "Fine, men, prepare the instruments, I want to do a divination." An attendant brought over a huge brazier, and the Great Wizard knelt in front of it, throwing the goat bones into it one by one. Soon, green smoke rose up, and the Great Wizard began to close his eyes, chanting. Not long after, a golden light flashed across the sky and pierced through the heart of one of the monsters. Immediately after, the flames in the sky spun rapidly and turned into the figure of a mighty god of war. He held a golden longsword in his hand and cut the other monster into two. Soon, 3 other figures appeared and fought with the monster. Every strike carried the power of 1,000 caddies. Golden lightning flashed in the sky, looking extremely majestic. What is that? Emperor Ling too was stunned. The citizens of Nianyang City also looked up, their eyes wide and their mouths agape. They did not know what was happening, but at least they knew that the monsters who tried to destroy the world were being punished. The 5 figures in the sky were killing those monsters. Prime Minister Fu Wuji said excitedly, "Your Majesty, we are saved." Those people, no, they must be gods. That's right, they must be gods. Only they can kill the ferocious beasts in the sky. It didn't take long for the 4 monsters to be slain, and the sky returned to its calm state. At that moment, the Grand Shaman raised his head and said, "Your Majesty, I have divined that those 4 monsters are from the legendary primordial divine race. However, they have fallen. That is not important. Now, you must tell me, who are the 5 people who saved the Celestial Empire?" "The Grand Shaman said in a trembling voice, "They are the gods of the celestial domain. They are powerful beyond all. I cannot read their names, but I know that the people of the world have given them a title, the 5 gods." "The 5 gods?" Ling Tu frowned and said, "Fu Wuji, immediately send out troops to extinguish the fire in the city. Apart from that, the Ministry of Revenue will be in charge of rebuilding the city. There is another important thing to do. Immediately send people to Mount Li to mine the huge rocks. I want to build a statue of the 5 gods in Nianyang City. Remember what they look like. They must be lifelike. Do you understand?" "Yes." The Grand Shaman was unhappy. "But Your Majesty, Nianyang City has always believed in the god of the southern tribe." Ling Tu's voice was cold as he said, "Don't use your god to pressure me. I only believe in the god who saved the empire. Apart from that, the people of the world have also seen the scene of the 5 gods killing the evil beasts. The era of the old gods has passed. The future belongs to the new 5 gods. If you are not willing to continue to control the divine temple, then abdicate. I have many candidates." The Grand Shaman hurriedly shook his head and said, "This subject is willing to swear loyalty to Your Majesty, even if I have to die 10,000 times." From then on, the entire Puryang domain began to believe in the 5 gods. Although people did not know the names of the 5 gods, they knew that one of them used a sword, one used a dual blade, and there were 2 other goddesses who used a sword, as well as a god who used a bow. 2 days passed. In an abandoned spiritual mountain in the southern divine domain, Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Yin, and the rest were resting on a tree trunk. There was not a single building in this spiritual mountain, but it was filled with fruit forests. Peach trees, plums, and bayberries were all ripe at this time. Swoosh, Lin Muyu's figure landed lightly on the tree trunk. He used his martial god's cloak to carry apples, plums, bayberries, and other fruits. He smiled and said, "Eat, choose what you want." Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi could not help but burst out laughing. When they were with Lin Muyu, they could always feel that kind of peace and relaxation. This was also one of the reasons why they loved him so deeply. Feng Jixing and Wei Chou did not stand on ceremony and ran over. Gods also needed to replenish their water. These 2 days, they had not slept or rested. They had long wanted to eat and pray to their 5 viscera temples. Qin Yin pinched a bayberry and tasted it. She could not help but frown and smile. So sour. Tang Xiaoxi also tasted the fruit with a smile. Wei Chou bit off half an apple and said, "We killed a total of 472 titans in 2 days and 2 nights. This news should reach the Gloom Palace soon. I wonder what Lei Luan will think when he hears this. Will he continue to send titans out to hunt for spiritual energy? If they give up, then the Dark Titans will not be able to increase their strength. I'm afraid Lei Luan will be angered to death this time. I'm just afraid he will be furious." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "It's fine here, but it's hard to say for Demon Emperor and Sister Xian. If they are caught by Lei Luan's main force, then it will be hard to say. Don't worry, we have the glazed lamp." Yes, if not for the glazed lamp, I would not have agreed to this operation. Feng Jixing nibbled on an apple and said, We saved more than 100 planes in 2 days, but more than 30 planes were destroyed. Do you think this is a merit or a fault? Lin Muyu said, I don't manage order, I only manage fighting. You have to ask Xiao Yin this question. Qin Yin squinted her beautiful eyes and smiled. Actually, the information given to me by the Mahayana heavenly law is not very accurate. The destruction of beyond heaven and the war between the 6 realms has long since reshaped the laws of heaven and earth. Right now, it is impossible to say whether it is a merit or a fault. The only thing we can do is to persevere in our beliefs and keep going. Feng Jixing smiled and said, Looks like the heavens also gave Her Highness a wordless book. Everything has to be comprehended by yourself. Yes, it has always been like this. Lin Muyu said, Eat quickly and continue to patrol after eating. Conserve our strength. If we include Demon Emperor and Sister Xian's results, we should have killed close to 1,000 titans. Lei Luan only has 700 or 800 titans under his control now. Perhaps he will launch a decisive battle against us soon. When that time comes, we will have to return to Mount Deshang to fight. Okay, the other 4 agreed. Palace of Gloom. Bang! Lei Luan crushed countless tiles with 1 foot. His blood-red eyes flashed as he said, How many Titan warriors have not returned? According to the agreement, they should have returned a day ago, but, so far, only 700 Titans have returned. There are still 1,100 Titans that have not returned. The one who spoke was Keston, the 2nd strongest of the Lei Luan race. In the main hall, a group of Titans raised their weapons angrily and roared. Lei Luan was filled with killing intent. He lifted the blood-red warhammer on his shoulder and said, Gather our army and immediately charge to Mount Deshang. They want to take us down one by one? No way. I want them to know how terrifying the rage of the Titans is. Chapter 1279. Tao is strong, but it may not be full. Yuan Shi is like the ancestor of all things. Zhan Shi seems to exist. Heaven and earth can last forever, because it does not give birth to itself, so it can live forever. Songnan Province, Mount Ziwu, the temporary camp of the Longdan Army Camp. Not far from the barracks, in a vast forest, Citizen sat on a large rock, muttering to himself. His whole body seemed to be bathed in light. Although it was already late at night, fireflies were dancing around him, and the air was floating. A powerful tension was accumulating and waiting to be unleashed. Brother, not far away from him, Sidu Shui, who was leading the horse, had a helpless look in her eyes. Brother, are you going to have an epiphany? Sush. A golden brilliance shrouded Situ Sin in the air. When he opened his eyes, he was surrounded by layers of golden ancient runes, like a wall that lingered. Sidu Sin opened his eyes, and his clear gaze cut through the original chaos. The surface of his body was glowing, as if it was reforged. He slowly exhaled and said, Shui, I'm going to leave, brother. Sidu Shui's eyes were slightly red, and tears were swirling in her eyes. Must you leave? Yes, the heaven realm needs me. Sidu Sen's smile was very gentle. Shui, haven't you always hoped that brother would achieve the heavenly Tao? But I have already understood the Tao. The Mahayana heavenly Tao is so deep and profound that I will never be able to fully understand it in my life. Moreover, the heaven realm is in a war, and Lin General and Her Highness need my meager strength. I don't know when I can come back. Situ Shui bit her red lips, and I don't know when I can understand the Tao with my cultivation. Do you want me to stay in the mortal realm alone? I will come back. Sidu Sin smiled faintly, looked back at the generals in the Longdan army camp, and said, Fengshi, Bai Yin. Your subordinate is here. Commander, please instruct us. Situ Sin said, Lin General will pass the position of commander to Wei Chou, and Wei Chou will pass the position to me. Today, I will be leaving the Shattered Cauldron world. The Longdan army camp is the National Defense Army, so all of you must take good care of it. After I leave, the commander of the Longdan army camp will be Situ Shui. All of you need to assist Shui seriously. Also, if you have any questions, you can ask Lu Bai and Si Kongyao. Yes, Commander. The group of generals knelt down on one knee. Situ Sin stood up, and the golden pillar of light in the sky wreaked havoc. In the blink of an eye, it was about to take him away. However, at this moment, he suddenly stopped and said, "Right, there's one more thing I need to tell you." "What is it?" "Commander, please instruct us." Bai Yin said, "There's a young man called Chu Yun in the holy temple of Lanyan City. 1 year later, Bai Yin, you will personally go to the holy temple to bring Chu Yun to the Longdan army camp. Let him follow you. After I leave, you will enter the Yen nation to pacify the wolf tribe in the north and the wilderness in the south. When that time comes, you will bring Chu Yun along and teach him these 2 books. I'm leaving, take care." Whoosh! The light shot into the sky, and Situ Sen's figure also disappeared. However, 2 books were left on the big rock. One was the Art of Stars, and the other was the Star-Plucking Finger. Situ Shui walked forward and held the 2 books in her hands. Her heart was filled with a myriad of emotions. The continent's temporary peace did not mean that it would last forever. In the past half a year, there had been chaos everywhere. Although there were no major wars, there were endless small battles. It was clear that Situ Sin thought highly of Chu Yun. Otherwise, he wouldn't have passed on Lin Muyu and Chu Yao's absolute arts to him. Once Chu Yun learned this ability, what kind of legend would he become in the Shattered Cauldron realm in the future? Bai Yin took the 2 martial arts manuals and frowned. Lin General hasn't appeared in this world for a long time. I don't know what orders he has. Commander Sin left these 2 martial arts manuals for Chu Yun and asked me to bring him along. What does this mean? Situ Shui couldn't help but smile. Bai Yin, how old are you this year? 34. What about you, Fengxi? 37. The 2 generals were very surprised. They didn't know what Situ Shui was planning. Meanwhile, Situ Shui, the new commander of the Longdan army camp, took out the commander's seal of the Longdan army camp from the bag left behind by her brother. She held it in her hands and said, "Brother's meaning is not clear enough? 1 year later, we will start training Chu Yun. I might stay in the mortal world for 3 to 5 years, or even sooner. Once I ascend, the 2 of you will already be over 40 years old. Old generals who are over 40 will only think about concubines and peace. Where would they have the ambition to contribute to the country? Am I right?" Bai Yin and Fengxi were embarrassed. Bai Yin rubbed his nose and said, "Commander Shui's words are right, but General Fengxi and I at least have the heart to fight. What about 3 years later? What about 5 years later?" Situ Shui smiled faintly. "We have been fighting for many years and are used to seeing life and death. Even Lin General began to get tired of war. Don't tell me the few of us are not tired of it. People have to accept their old age. I think brother's meaning is very clear. When we are old, the next commander of the Longdan army camp will be Chu Yun. Does Lin General know about this?" Bai Yin asked carefully. After all, he used to be Lin Muyu's bodyguard. His loyalty to Lin Muyu was self-evident. Although the Situ siblings were the core figures of the Longdan army camp, they were not Lin Muyu. This matter had to be clarified. "Lin General knows." Situ Shui said softly, "This is also Lin General's intention." "Don't you 2 know Chu Yun's identity?" "Chu Yun? What is Chu Yun's identity?" Bai Yin and Fengxi asked. "Chu Yun is the reincarnation of Chu Huai, one of the 4 heroes of Lan Yan. Chu Huai died in battle 14 years ago and was reincarnated as Chu Yun a year later. So, Chu Yun is 13 years old this year. Is that clear enough?" Both of them took a deep breath. Fengxi cupped his fists and said, "It's actually, like this, it's really incredible." The news was confirmed by Lin General after he investigated the Book of Reincarnation in the Ghost Realm. "What we can do is to cultivate Chu Yun, but we don't need to spoil him too much. We must treat him strictly. He has been personally trained by Deacon Qin Yen. His martial arts foundation has long been incomparably solid. Now that he has been improved by Star Arts and Star Plucking Finger, his future achievements are probably unimaginable." Bai Yin cupped his fists and said, "I understand. I will do my best to complete this task." "That's good." Situ Shui mounted her horse and said, "Brother has already left. We don't need to guard here anymore. Let's go back to camp. General Feng Shi, go and urge Marshal Ding Shi to send next month's provisions earlier. Also, the soldiers need to eat meat once every 3 days. Please ask him to help us open a pig farm around the camp. Yes, I understand. Bai Yin, go to Lan Yen City tomorrow and see Chu Yun. Teach him the star-plucking finger and the first layer of star arts. Amidst the sound of hooves, the crowd in the forest dispersed in the blink of an eye. Peace was restored. On Mount Deshang, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. A man descended from the sky, stepping on the air. With every step he took, thunder could be clearly heard. Within 5 steps, rays of golden light gathered and formed a majestic armor around his body. This was the first time he had transformed into a god. It was the crucial moment when the divine power of the rule and his body began to fuse. After 5 steps, he had already changed into a set of dazzling golden armor. With a low grunt, a golden spear appeared in his hand. It was an awe-inspiring sight. The sky god, a second-tier superior god, one of the secondary main gods. Sush! An arrow of light soared into the sky, aimed at the god who had just set foot in the divine realm. Sidu Sen's eyes turned cold. He waved his spear naturally and knocked the arrow away with a clang. With his sharp eyes, he could see the outline of every brick and tile in the hall of Deshang, as well as the breathing of the people. He could even see the lazy young man in the pavilion of the hall of Deshang. It was the previous commander of the Longdan army camp, Wei Chou. The arrow just now was also Wei Chou's masterpiece. However, he did not use his full strength to shoot. Otherwise, the Ho Yi Bao's edge might not be easily blocked by Sidu Senior, Ah Chou. Sidu Sen laughed heartily. Wei Chou's face turned green. Mother f***, are you trying to annoy me the moment you come? How are you? Sidu Sen jumped down and patted Wei Chou's shoulder, greeting him like a brother. I was worried that you would accidentally die in the God War. Do you think I'll die so easily? Wei Chou grinned and said, let's go. Don't talk so much. Lin General and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor are waiting for you, the Sky God, to come to the divine realm. Oh, let's go. The 2 figures landed outside the hall and walked into the hall of Deshang. The glazed tiles in the hall were shining brightly, reflecting the majestic armor on the 2. Both were titled gods. Therefore, they wore cloaks on their backs after their divine transformation. However, Wei Chou was a first-tier mid-god and his cloak was azure blue, while Situ Sen's cloak was crimson, the color of a high god. The hall was filled with gods. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Shi Yen, Tang Xiaoxi and the others were at the front. They smiled at Sidu Sen as a form of greeting. Sidu Sen knew the rules. He stepped forward, cupped his fists at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and said, Sky God Sidu Sen pays his respects to the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. I am willing to serve the Eastern Divine Realm. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor smiled and said, Sky God, what is your ability? The God of Wind can control the wind. What about you? Sky control. Situ Sen's gaze was calm as he gently waved his palm in front of him. Immediately, the tiles beneath his feet, which had been damaged during the battle and hadn't been repaired in time, flew up and floated along with Situ Sen's domain. The crowd was slightly shocked. Situ Sen's power was no less than Feng Jixing's. He was even stronger than Wei Chou. Xiao smiled and said, very good. The Eastern Divine Realm has gained another great helper. Sky God, get in line. Lei Luan's Titan tribe is about to arrive. We need your power. Sidu Sen cupped his fists respectfully. Then he got in line between Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and almost wanted to punch him. Lin General, your subordinate is here. He smiled and said. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. Is the Longdan army camp ready? Lin General, what is the Lei Luan tribe that the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor mentioned? Your subordinate has just arrived and doesn't know anything. It is an evil force that can destroy the world. The upcoming battle will decide who will be the master of the heaven realm in the future. Situ Sen's gaze became serious. Yes, your subordinate understands. Chapter 1280. In the illusory pool, streams of light shuttled through the starry universe, bringing with them streams of piercingly cold shock waves. Many spiritual mountains began to sway slowly. Shi Yen frowned. They're very fast. Looks like Lei Luin is determined to fight us. Perfect timing. The 7 luminaries demon emperor clenched his fists. Perfect timing. You don't have to do anything in this battle. Just use your holy martial power to raise the gods' battle prowess. You're the key to this battle. Lin Muyu nodded. I understand. Eva said, do we need to move the battlefield forward? If we were to fight on Mount Deshang, I'm afraid that Mount Deshang would become a mess. No, we can only fight at Mount Deshang, Lin Muyu said decisively. Eva was puzzled. Lin Muyu said calmly, Sister Eva, think about it. The Heavenly Sound Scroll is in the Hall of Great Accomplishment. It's our foundation. Our ultimate goal in this battle is to protect the Heavenly Sound Scroll. Once the battlefield moves, the Heavenly Sound Scroll might be affected. Nua's power was destroyed in the realm beyond heaven, and she has less than 40% of her power left. I'm afraid she won't be able to protect the Heavenly Sound Scroll. Shi Yen nodded. That's right. We can only fight at Mount Deshang. It's up to the 7 luminaries demon emperor if he's willing. The 7 luminaries demon emperor waved his hand. Go ahead. We can rebuild after you've destroyed everything. Mount Deshang is a rich place. We can afford to destroy 10,000 of them, let alone one. Extravagant. 6 hours later, the oppressive atmosphere in the distance and the sense of pressure from the impending battle of the gods almost suffocated the gods. They could no longer stay in the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Shi Yen, Dong Ming, and the other gods were already waiting in the sky above Mount Great Accomplishment. Under the seal of the barrier, it was impossible to travel within the range of Mount Great Accomplishment. They could only rely on their own speed to gain an advantage. In the Palace of Great Accomplishment, Lin Muyu was sitting lazily on the glazed tiles. Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, and Sidusun were also sitting at the side with their legs crossed. On the other hand, it was Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Chu Yao, and the other goddesses who could not sit down. After all, in their divine transformation state, they were basically wearing dresses. In fact, Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a short skirt and leather armor. Once they sat down, they would be able to see everything. Master. Ria held the Star Stalker sword in her hand and frowned. I'm a little nervous. Don't be nervous. Lin Muyu gently stroked her hair and smiled. While the Titans are strong, they are not fast enough. As long as you can control the timing of your attack, you will definitely be unscathed. Remember, use the Star Stalker sword to stab their eyes and let the others kill them after they are blinded. You are only responsible for weakening the Titan's combat ability. Other than that, do not stray more than 5 miles away from me, or else the power of the holy martial arts will not be able to fuse with your strength. Yes, Master. I will remember that. Situ-Sin tilted his head and smiled. Lin General, where did you get such an obedient disciple from? Are there any more? No, don't even think about it. He, General Sin, have you not married or had children all these years in the mortal realm? Lin Muyu asked. No, I will ascend to become a god sooner or later, so I have never thought about having children. As for a wife, the servants in the mortal realm will take good care of her, so there is no need for me to worry. Tang Xiaoxi smiled. So you plan to come to the celestial realm to court the goddesses? Sidu-Sin rubbed his nose. I do want to, but it seems like all the goddesses in the celestial realm are taken, or I am not qualified to court them. I should just prepare for war. The atmosphere became more and more oppressive. The gods were no longer joking around and had all entered their godly transformation state. The sound of the Titans breaking through the enchantment of the celestial realm could be heard coming from afar. They were coming. The 7 luminaries demon emperor held his battle axe and looked down at the ground. You will guard the top of the Hall of Great Accomplishment and wait for an opportunity to strike. Waves of violent auras were getting closer and closer. Lin Muyu let out a low roar and a new layer of armor covered her body. A crimson cloak fluttered behind her, and the power of the holy marshal kept surging around her arms. Lightning flowed and spread out like a tidal wave, supporting everyone in the celestial realm with the power of the holy marshal, greatly stimulating their potential. She rose into the air and stood 100 meters above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Without drawing her sword, Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Wei Chou, stay by my side. It will be convenient for me to protect you. The other gods can attack at will." Along with the rumbling sounds, many figures appeared in the sky. They were the evil titans led by Lei Lun. In the next moment, the titans launched their attack. Battle axes and hammers came crashing down like meteorites into the celestial realm's camp. For a moment, the sky was filled with godly light and cold explosions. Situ Sen and Feng Jixing had already raised their weapons and fought with several titans. Meanwhile, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Dong Ming, Shi Yan, and Qin Yin blocked off the east, south, west, and north directions. Countless righteous gods flew up one after another and faced the black mass of attackers in the sky. The Titan tribe led by Elder Tai Lon also appeared, attacking the Thunder Luan tribe from the flank. For a moment, the air was filled with the shockwaves from the battle and the pressure from the domain. The entire space seemed to be distorted. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Wei Chou kept shooting with his bow. Although he couldn't ensure that every attack was fatal, it was enough as the only powerful long-range attacker on the battlefield. His role was to suppress and reinforce the enemy with firepower. Compared to Wei Chou's range of nearly 2 kilometers, Lin Muyu's attack range was much closer. Although the AO sword technique was powerful and domineering, its attack range was limited. Its sword aura could only kill powerful enemies within 300 meters. If it was any further, its destructive power would obviously be insufficient. Hitting a target that was too far away would be a waste of divine power and time. Boom! Lei Luan's hammer smashed the head of a titan from the Tai Lon tribe. He looked forward with bloodshot eyes and roared, "Break through their defense circle, destroy the Hall of Great Accomplishment, and destroy the last fortress of the realm of the gods." The evil titans roared furiously, but the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor charged forward with his battle axe. He opened his left palm and with a low roar, he activated the 7 glorious stars transformation. Stars rained down from the sky continuously, forcing a group of titans to raise their arms and use shields to defend themselves. For a moment, the sky was very noisy. However, the titans were too strong. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's area of effect martial arts technique was obviously unable to kill them instantly. He was so angry that he could only charge down with his battle axe and directly split a titan into 2. Kill, kill, kill. Elder Tai Lan's titan race suffered heavy losses as he roared in anger. More than half of them died in less than 30 minutes. Not only did the evil titans absorb the spiritual weapons of the Spirit Mountain, but they were also strengthened by the god cores of the gods from the realm beyond heaven. The strength of the two sides was completely disproportionate, and they were no longer as strong as they were before. Elder Tai Lon, lead your tribesmen and retreat to the Hall of Great Accomplishment. It's not a good time to attack. Lin Muyu roared loudly. Under Tai Lan's command, the outermost forces started to retreat. Lei Lun naturally gave the order to attack fiercely and started to invade the eastern celestial realm's defense circle. Some of the titans had already appeared within Lin Muyu's attack range. Their attacks were overbearing and ruthless. Their battle axes and spears clashed chaotically. In the blink of an eye, many righteous gods had already fallen. The war of the gods was even more cruel and merciless than the war of the mortal world. Which of these fallen righteous gods wasn't an overlord of a dimension? They were legends that had been passed down for hundreds or even thousands of years. However, under the attack of the evil titans, these false reputations couldn't provide them any protection. Swoosh! A graceful figure shot through the group of titans at an astonishing speed, and as the Star Stalker sword slashed through, some of the titans were blinded, while others had their energy shields too thick for Rhea to hit. However, Rhea adhered to her master's teachings and never got into a fight. She retreated as soon as she made contact, and many of the titans were unable to land a hit on her. In the sky, the clouds were raging as bolts of lightning struck down. It was Feng Jisheng's attack, and not far behind him, the sky god Situ Sen's spear slammed into the void beneath his feet. Instantly, layers of power came crashing down, and the appearance of the titans were already deformed from the pressure. As Situ Sen pressed down with his palm, dozens of titans were twisted into a metal ball, and all that was left was their energy that had nowhere to go. Unknowingly, Feng Jisheng and Situ Sen's performance on the battlefield was too eye-catching, and they had almost become one of the leaders on the battlefield. Roar! A titan dodged Feng Jisheng's sword and swung his axe at Feng Jisheng's shoulder from behind. Feng Jisheng was controlling the wind and could not care less, so he could only rely on his own shield to block the attack. But before the titan's axe could land, two sword chi pierced through his chest. It was Lin Muyu's proud sword art. He raised his right hand and shot out two sword chi. The sword chi was as hot and dazzling as the sun in the sky, and it pierced through his opponent in an instant. Following that, Lin Muyu continued to attack, and any titan that came within 300 meters of him would not last more than 5 seconds. Compared to him, Wei Chou was not any less useful. The Ho Yibao had already shot thousands of arrows in the short time it took for a jaw stick to burn. Every arrow hit its target, greatly delaying and disrupting the invasion of the evil titans. But there were still too many titans. Under the continuous and fierce attacks, the outer defenses of the celestial realm began to crumble. Even Shi Yan, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Dong Ming, and the others had more or less sustained injuries. It was completely a battle of attrition. Guardians, go to battle. After Lin Muyu gave the order, the 8 guardians in the main hall flew out and acted as one of the outer defenses. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had consumed more than half of their divine powers, and the gods were also almost at their limits. Every attack of the titans was equivalent to an attack condensed from the power of the dimension. Even a god would find it difficult to resist. Be careful, the eastern defense line has been breached. Accompanied by the roar of the 7 luminaries demon emperor, a female figure was rapidly burned to ashes by the titan's divine power. Duya, the god of life of the northern celestial realm, was blocking the fierce attacks of 3 titans by herself. Finally, she could not withstand the vigorous flame power. Yuya! Dong Ming's eyes were bloodshot. Suddenly, a force attacked her from behind. Dong Ming immediately cried out in pain and vomited blood as she fell toward Mount Deshang. The combined attack of 800 evil titans was too powerful. It had far exceeded the original expectations of Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Chapter 1281. The heavy blow from the air caused Ria's petite body to fall to the top of the Hall of Great Accomplishment, spitting out blood. Her divine power had been exhausted to the limit, and her speed could no longer be fast enough for the titans to react. With just a light blow, Ria was already seriously injured. Accompanied by a buzzing sound, the 2 seraphim, Shi Yan and Eva, defended one side and did not move. The many battle angels behind them formed a battle formation unique to the Western Divine Realm, waving their light swords again and again as they fought with the titans. On the other hand, Feng Jisheng and Situ Sen were almost unable to hold on, and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Ziyao were almost unable to save the situation. Lin Muyu changed her moves one after another, and the aura of the AO sword technique blossomed into piercing cold sword aura in the air. However, the titans seemed to be endless. After killing one, another would immediately close in, and more would appear. In the blink of an eye, dozens of titans had surrounded Lin Muyu and Wei Chou, blasting out waves of shocking aura. Just the aura of the titan's attack was enough to make Wei Chou vomit blood. If not for Lin Muyu's AO sword technique, the Hall of Great Accomplishment would have fallen. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jisheng, and the rest quickly rushed back, reducing the front line to about 200 meters. For a moment, the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment had become a scene of the gods forming a formation and the Titan army blasting wildly. Battle axes and hammers bombarded like meteors, constantly shaking the enchantment above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. At this moment, an ethereal sound came from the Hall of Great Accomplishment. It sounded like a song, but also like the sound of the wind. However, when everyone heard this sound, they felt that the divine power in their bodies recovered greatly, and in the blink of an eye, it turned from a trickle to a full river. It's Lady Nua's Mahayana heavenly voice. Miwe held her sword and said, "Uncle Master is helping us." The 7 luminaries demon emperor waved his battle axe and shouted, "Fight again!" Everyone shot out from the top of the hall in all directions, looking for their own targets to fight. This was a battle between good and evil, and also a battle of life and death for the heaven realm. Whoever survived would be the ruler of the heaven realm for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Otherwise, the winner would be the king, and the glory of the Mahayana heavenly Tao would be short-lived. Roar. Lei Luan's furious roar shook the heavens and the earth. His warhammer transformed into a ball of flames and broke through the defense of the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Even the powerful 7 luminaries demon emperor could no longer withstand Lei Luan's frontal attack. Panga's axe was directly knocked away, and his figure flipped in the air in a sorry state. He could only watch helplessly as Lei Luan's warhammer smashed towards the gods on top of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. "Let me!" Lin Muyu leaped forward and stood in front of Feng Jixing, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the others. She pulled out the Shen Yuan sword, and the Ao sword art's domain surged. For a moment, countless blades gathered in front of her, and directly struck towards Lei Luan's warhammer. For a moment, the air was filled with the dull sound of the collision. The two vast forces collided, so much so that a few of the righteous gods with lower cultivation were already bleeding from the mouth and nose. Did he win? Qin Yin asked worriedly. No. Wei Chou shook his head. Sure enough, a raging flame flew over with a swoosh. It was Lei Luan's battle hammer. It had actually broken through Lin Muyu's 100% proud force sword technique. Only God knew how many living beings had Lei Luan devoured in the southern celestial world. "Be careful!" Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice and suddenly raised his left arm. His martial soul roared and rotated, and a huge dragon blood shield was released. This was already his special skill. The dragon blood shield was plated with a layer of Ao sword art's energy. At the same time, he bent his body, and the Shen Yuan sword in his right hand was suffused with a pale wave of air. Bang! The warhammer heavily hit the dragon blood shield, forcing Lin Muyu to retreat at least 10 meters. The armor behind him was almost touching Qin Yin's chest. Qin Yin couldn't help but stretch out her divine power to support his shoulders. However, at the moment of contact, a surging and roaring evil energy rushed towards them, causing Qin Yin to retreat several steps. One could imagine how strong the power Lin Muyu was facing was. However, no matter how strong Lei Luan was, this blow had, after all, been blocked by the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Now that it was blocked by the dragon blood shield, it suddenly flew back with a clang. The warhammer kept spinning in the air, as if drawing a fire wheel. However, in this fire wheel of fire, a beam of golden light stabbed like a needle. Swoosh! It was the Shen Yuan sword, Lin Muyu's hidden killer move in the rebound. Patriarch, be careful! Lei Luan was caught off guard, but another titan stood in front of him. With a loud bang, the Shen Yuan sword directly pierced through the titan's head and even shattered it. Blood splattered everywhere, and the titan died instantly. Be***starred. Be***starred. Lei Luan was so angry that his body trembled. He roared, "We must take down the Hall of Great Accomplishment and kill all these hypocritical Mahayana heavenly gods. Kill them." From all directions, countless titans sped over like gods descending to the world. However, they were punishing the many Mahayana heavenly gods. It was extremely laughable and pathetic. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Shi Yan, Qin Yin, Feng Jixing, and the others were all exhausted. Even with the support of the holy martial power, they still showed signs of fatigue. The power of the titans was endless. If they continued to fight like this, the Mahayana heavenly gods might really be killed. Moreover, after the battle lasted for nearly an hour, the Eastern gods had already lost at least 30% of their numbers. Countless new gods had fallen, and it was as if they had gone through a heavenly tribulation. Just when the situation was starting to become clear, a beam of light lit up the sky. It was deep purplish red and turned into a straight line that pierced through the sky. It was like a divine arrow piercing through the sky, moving as fast as lightning. With a swoosh, it forcefully smashed into the heart of the second strongest of the Leiluan tribe, Kelton. With a purring sound, it penetrated through the heart and released a deep blue power of the old gods. That was the power of Odin's divine core. After suffering this attack, it had already begun to dissipate into the air. Kelton had been ambushed. He groaned in pain and clutched his chest frantically. However, he was unable to prevent the power from leaking out. In just a few short seconds, his power had already been greatly reduced. A group of titans angrily looked in the direction of the ambushers. There, dark clouds rolled over. A group of people from the demon world stood on top of the clouds. At the front was Bai Feng, the Holy Emperor. Faint demonic flames flickered on her fingertips. It was obvious that this attack was her masterpiece. After inheriting Ziyan's cultivation, Bai Feng's state of mind had merged with the Holy Emperor's. It seemed that she had already surpassed her predecessor. Her strength was even a level higher than that of Ziyan. Lin Muyu raised her head and looked into the sky. She smiled and said, "Bai Feng, you're finally here." Bai Feng smiled and said, "The demon world is a member of the 6 realms. If the lips are gone, the teeth will be interdependent. How can I sit back and watch the Hall of Great Accomplishment fall into the hands of these vicious titans? I will lead the warriors of the demon world to attack from the side. As for the rest of you, just do what you need to do." Lin Muyu gently twirled the Xianyuan sword in her hand and said, "Celestial realm, prepare to attack too." If Bai Feng and the thousands of holy king and demon gods from the demon world joined forces, they would be able to turn the situation around. After all, the Leiluan tribe had also suffered heavy losses. Countless titans' corpses had already fallen on Mount Great Accomplishment. They could not afford to suffer any more losses. Hong! In the sky, countless demonic flames swallowed close to 100 titans in front of them like a flood. This was Bai Feng's masterpiece. Her strength had indeed increased a lot compared to Ziyan. After all, Ziyan only relied on the god-destroying tower. However, Bai Feng was different. Unknowingly, the strength of the demon world had increased a lot because of Ziyan's sacrifice. The titans roared and condensed a shield to block the impact of Bai Feng's demonic flames. Each of them was like a huge boulder in the middle of a flood. Attack! Lin Muyu rose from the ground. Now they could only attack. If they attacked, there was still a chance of survival. Otherwise, if the titans destroyed the demon world, the celestial realm would probably be destroyed soon. She raised the Xianyuan sword and activated the AO sword technique. Thousands of swords in the sky stabbed down fiercely and cut into the bodies of the titans. It was a perfect coordination with Bai Feng. Even the divine power of the Mahayana heavenly path did not have much conflict with the demonic flames. Perhaps it had something to do with their state of mind. Lin Muyu and Bai Feng had already treated each other as friends. Naturally, their powers would not collide. Good. Situsen laughed out loud and opened his palms. The chi in the air became completely chaotic, and many titans were immediately crushed by his power to control the heavens. At the same time, Feng Jixing did not fall behind. He opened his palms, and countless lightning and wind blades swept past, baptizing the crushed titans once again. In just an instant, at least 80 titans had perished. Ah, good kill! The 7 luminaries' demon emperor laughed and raised his battle axe. The Pango axe seemed to cut open the world and created a galaxy, forcing Lei Luan and the other titans to retreat. At the same time, he turned the handle of the battle axe gently and power surged out, engulfing dozens of titans and turning them into ashes in the blink of an eye. For a moment, the gods were overjoyed. The situation had been completely reversed. Countless streams of light shot into the titans' camp. The number of titans decreased drastically. There were less than 300 of them. They could only retreat. This defeat was like a landslide and tsunami. They had to bear the pursuit of the Mahayana heavenly path gods. Clang! There was a sudden tremor in the sky as if thunder had torn the sky. Countless blue thunderbolts appeared in the sky. At the same time, a figure could be faintly seen with a suffocating aura. Who is it? Lin Muyu did not say much. She raised her hand and released a cold sword essence of the AO sword technique. In the sky, the clouds dispersed because of the impact of the AO sword technique. The figure was in the thunder. The corner of his mouth curled up. He smiled faintly and said, "Martial God, we meet again. But do you want to kill me?" He raised his palm and suddenly patted lightly. In an instant, Lin Muyu's sword essence was slapped away. At the same time, he raised a spear that was flashing with bright thunder and shook the space under his feet. Suddenly, countless thunderbolts filled the sky, completely blocking the path of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Shi Yan, and the other gods. Some of the righteous gods who could not retreat in time crashed into the wall of thunder and were instantly burned to ashes. Thunder? In the sky above the hall of Dashang, a beautiful figure slowly condensed. It was Goddess Nviwa. She asked with a faint gaze, "This is the weapon of the God King of the North. Why is it in your hands?" The newcomer laughed and said, "You can call me Zeus or Aelios now. It's up to you." Chapter 1282. You absorbed the divine energy of the gods of the north? By the time Nuwa finished her sentence, she was almost certain that Aelios' strength had already surpassed that of the god of the north, Zeus. Aelios' smile was extremely twisted as he said, "That's right, the divine energy of the gods tastes really good. What, you so-called gods want to kill me? Come on, Grandpa is waiting for you. Go." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Dong Ming, and the others moved almost simultaneously. Each of them unleashed their strongest martial arts and charged at Aelios. The 8th luminaries, 8 luminaries galaxy. Divine ice arts, extreme ice. Fire god Zhao Ding, Wei Chou, Feng Jixing, and the others launched their attacks straight at Aelios. Aelios' eyes were filled with the arrogance and contempt of a true dragon looking down on ants. Countless blazing lightning bolts shot down from the sky. They were even fiercer and more powerful than the lightning in the sky. They instantly repelled the attacks of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Dong Ming, and the others. Even fire god Zhao Ding, who was charging at the front with his fire god spear, couldn't dodge in time. The spear's power dissipated after piercing through the first layer of lightning. The firepower couldn't penetrate the lightning energy. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Ding's body was engulfed and annihilated by the lightning. Zhao Ding, Lin Muyu, Xiao, and the others turned pale with fright. Fire god Zhao Ding was a second-tier high god. How could he be instantly killed by such a simple attack? In the air, the dust from Zhao Ding's body dissipated with the wind. Those were the fragments of his quintessence. More. Aelios laughed heartily. His eyes were filled with contempt as he said, "Show me what else you've got. Heavens above, I, Aelios, will bring no peace to the divine realm." Damn it, you even know how to recite poems? Situ Sun trembled with anger. Lin Muyu suddenly raised her arm and said, "No one is to attack without permission. Everyone, return to the roof of the Hall of Great Accomplishment and defend immediately." The martial god naturally had his reasons for saying that. Everyone listened to him. In fact, it was Lin Muyu who could feel the surge of Aelios' divine power the most. However, he also knew that Aelios' power came from absorbing and devouring. His move just now was extremely chaotic and manic, which proved that Aelios had not perfectly controlled the ancient divine power in his body. He did not dare to attack without permission and could only passively defend. Are we just going to let the Titan tribe go just like that? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was a little unhappy. What are you thinking? Lin Muyu shook her head. There are less than 300 Titans left in the Titan tribe, and many of them are seriously injured and need to be repaired. They are no longer a concern. Our biggest enemy now is Alos. And as you can see, Big Brother, so many gods are seriously injured and have little divine power left. It is not wise to fight Alos now. Ziyao said approvingly, You is right. We can't fight now. Look, Alos has no intention of fighting us. He's leaving. Just as Ziyao said, Alos' figure in the sky gradually faded and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Even the terrifying power that made the gods feel so oppressed disappeared. Lin Muyu slowly landed on the Hall of Great Accomplishment and said, "Go back and treat your injuries. Sidusan, lead the Xingtian army and patrol the area within 300 miles of Mount Great Accomplishment. Report immediately if there is any movement." "Yes, Lin General." Sidusan cupped his fists and turned to summon the Xingtian army. Night fell. In the Hall of Great Accomplishment, the gods were very quiet during dinner. Some of their eyes were even red. The death of their comrades or close friends made their hearts very heavy. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor stuffed an entire piece of pastry into his mouth, his heart in a mess. Lin Muyu naturally knew why the demon emperor was upset. In all the previous battles between gods, there were very few who could surpass the demon emperor's cultivation. But it was different now. With the destruction of Beyond Heaven and the leakage of divine power, the 2 evil gods, Lei Luan and Alos, were already above the demon emperor in power. Even if he used the newly created 8th luminaries, it would be of no use. The difference in power was too great. "Brother Demon Emperor, if you fight Alos with full divine power, maybe." He wanted to comfort him. "What are my chances of winning?" the 7 luminaries' demon emperor asked nervously. "Less than 30%. Brat," Lin Muyu shrugged. "That's the truth. Even if I fight Alos with full power, my chances of winning are probably less than 40%, and that's under the premise that I'm playing with my life." How did that bastard Alos become so strong in an instant? Didn't Lady Nuwa say? After the gods of the north of sky beyond Avalon were annihilated, their remnant souls were stored in weapons. These weapons seemed to have been collected by Aelios. He absorbed the divine power in these weapons, making himself as strong as he is now. In addition to the lightning that he has refined, it will be very difficult for us to resist this evil god. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor frowned. "It doesn't sound good. No, in my opinion, it's actually better." "Why?" Lin Muyu smiled. "Think about it. Originally, we had close to 2,000 powerful titans, but now we have less than 300. The titans can no longer suppress us, and Alos isn't as scary as we thought. He has devoured the power of the gods, but it hasn't been perfectly fused. If we really fight, we are more skilled and can use our techniques more freely than he is. As long as we outnumber him, Alos will soon reveal his weakness. This is also why he didn't come out to destroy the god realm today. He still has no chance of winning. He can only suppress us with pure strength." The 7 luminaries' demon emperor couldn't help but narrow his eyes. "I thought you were useless after using up all your divine power. I didn't expect you to observe and think so much in such an intense battle." Shiyen smiled. "That's why he's the martial god with both the pen and the sword, and you're the mad god." "What do you mean by that?" The 7 luminaries' demon emperor wasn't happy. Shiyen smiled. "It's very simple. The martial god is the god of war. To be invincible, he can't just rely on brute force. But you're different. The mad god? You're the kind of person who has all brawn and no brains. Forgive me for being blunt, but you're the mad god." The 7 luminaries' demon emperor was so angry that he was trembling. "Everyone says you're the one who eats from others. Shiyen, you're eating the osmanthus cake from the Eastern Divine Realm and you're still talking like that. You're really unreasonable." Shiyen giggled. "You're the 7 luminaries' demon emperor. You have the final say. But this osmanthus cake tastes really good." The 7 luminaries' demon emperor didn't really want to quarrel with her. He continued, "How many gods did we lose today?" Feng Jixing stood up, cupped his fists, and said, "I've counted. A total of 57 gods from the Eastern, Western, and Eastern Divine Realms have fallen. Among them, 1 high god, 3 mid-gods, and more than 120 are seriously injured. All the high gods have suffered injuries of varying severity. They need some time to heal and recuperate. They won't be able to fight again for the next 3 days." "Oh, that's a huge loss." The 7 luminaries demon emperor sighed softly and asked, You're the commander-in-chief. What should we do next? Let's wait and see. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, Alos must have his reasons for protecting the Leiluan tribe. Perhaps he wants to control the entire Leiluan tribe. But according to my speculation, the Leiluan tribe's strength isn't much different from Alos. He definitely won't be willing to hand over such a powerful army to Alos. There will definitely be a fight between the 2 evil gods. We need to wait for a victor to emerge. And then, just wait? Dongming asked. Yes, heal and recuperate. During this time, none of us are allowed to leave the Eastern Divine Realm. Otherwise, it's very likely that we'll be attacked by the Leiluan tribe. The 2 evil gods, Alos and Leiluan, are not to be trifled with. The gods nodded in unison. The night at Mount Deshang was quiet and comfortable. Although the fierce battle during the day left a lot of wreckage, the gods cleaned it up quickly. After all, none of them were easy to deal with. Even the efficiency of carrying bricks was 10,000 times better than that of ordinary people. Before midnight, they had already repaired the Hall of Deshang. As for Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the others, they naturally returned to the Great Void Hall of Luoyan Mountain to rest. The stars were in the sky, and the Milky Way was brilliant. Lin Muyu stood in the carved pavilion in the corridor and practiced the AO sword tactics from beginning to end. She was surrounded by divine power. After opening her eyes, she heaved a sigh of relief. What's wrong? Something on your mind? Qin Yin's voice came from the side. Yes. Lin Muyu held Qin Yin's hand and held her in her arms. She said, How are your injuries? Minor injuries. Most of them have healed. Qin Yin stood on her tiptoes and gave him a light peck on the lips. She only dared to do this in a place like this. There were so many people in the day, and it was not appropriate for a dignified and graceful goddess to do such a thing. After the peck, she blushed slightly and said, Can you tell me now, what are you thinking about? Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. She looked at the distant peaks of Luoyan Mountain and said, We've been fighting with the evil gods for the past few days, and we could be killed at any time. To be honest, I'm a little tired of it. At that moment, I missed home very much. I missed our home in Lanyan City, our home in Shanghai, my father, my brother, and my friends that I haven't seen for a long time. Qin Yin chuckled and said, You are not a warlike person, but the situation has forced you to the position of martial and martial god step by step. It's really hard for you, Lin Muyu smiled and said, I remember a sentence. Oh, what is it? I've seen it in a movie. There is no such thing as easy in the adult world. It makes sense. Yes, we are all adults. Nothing is easy. We originally had people to rely on, such as Brother Demon Emperor of the Divine Realm and Xiao Fairy. But in the blink of an eye, there was a war in the Divine Realm. After that, we still had Master Fuxi and the great emperors of Tianweishan. However, now Tianweishan has been annihilated, and Master has fallen for the common people. Now we can only rely on ourselves. As she said, Lin Muyu clenched her fists and her eyes were filled with faint hatred. Qin Yin looked at him with her bright eyes and said considerately, Those who are unbridled, those who bear their fangs and claws, those who flourish for a time, will be annihilated by time sooner or later. We must believe that evil will never prevail over good. Ziyan killed my master, and now I am working with the demon realm. Lin Muyu's eyes were filled with a faint killing intent. You want to kill Ziyan? Yes, after quelling the chaos in Heaven Realm, I will definitely take Ziyan's life to avenge Master, 2 senior brothers, and senior sister Luanxing. If you don't want to move, I can help. Let's talk about it when the time comes. Then sleep early. Okay. Chapter 1283. Lei Luan sat amidst the rubble, his arms moving slowly as his divine power healed his injured body. However, the speed was extremely slow. Beside him was Caxton and a group of lightly injured titans. All of them looked lifeless. Although they had heavily injured Mount Deshang and killed many of the main gods, it was still a failure overall. Caxton raised his gray face and said, Chief, I'm sorry. I was useless. I should have ambushed Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor when they were at their weakest, but I failed. It's not your fault, Caxton. Lei Luan's eyes darkened. We underestimated the power of the God Realm. Lin Muyu had 8 guardians and that extremely fast girl. With the help of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Shi Yen, and the other main gods, we didn't lose unjustly. It's just that we didn't destroy Mount Dashang. I'm afraid we won't have a chance like this in the future. Who said we didn't? A very loud voice came from the sky. All the Titans looked up and saw a person holding a spear that was flashing with lightning descending from the sky. His aura was vigorous, and the Titans instantly felt an oppressive feeling that was difficult to resist. All of them couldn't help but look sideways. Sha. Aelios landed on the broken roof of the Palace of Darkness and looked at Lei Luan playfully. He smiled. Lei Luan, I told you to come to the God Realm and destroy everything. What did you do? Lei Luan's eyes dimmed. Aelios, are you blaming me? That's right. Aelios's face was covered in frost. You originally had 2,000 Titans, and they were the ones who obtained the god cores of the gods from beyond the heavens. But what did you do to reduce them to a mere few hundred? You want to destroy the Eastern God Realm with just a few hundred Titans? Do you think Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries emperor, and the other main gods are trash like you? Aelios, shut up. At the same time, the group of Titan warriors around him were also furious. Many of the Titans had already stood up and were ready for battle. Aelios couldn't help but laugh. I'm surprised by your unity, but I'm also disappointed by your stupidity. I brought you to Beyond Heaven to avenge you and help you discover your potential, but you were too conceited. Why didn't you bring the Devil Realm's army to fight against the Divine Realm after destroying the Devil Realm? Lei Luan's eyes flickered. The Demon World's army is too rebellious and difficult to control. Even after slaughtering nearly half of them, we still couldn't control them completely. So, we gave up on the Demon World's army and left them to fend for themselves in the Demon World. Originally, I thought that the gods of the Mahayana heavenly path would lie in wait, but I didn't expect them to dare to take the initiative to attack. In 3 days, they killed countless Titan warriors through despicable sneak attacks. Otherwise, the outcome today would not be like this. Bullshit! Aelios shouted, you are too greedy. You want to destroy Spirit Mountain and obtain the power of the world to pave the way for the rise of the Titans. Unfortunately, you are an idiot despite your ambition. Lei Luan stood up, grabbed the hammer and said, you're just an exiled god from the human realm beyond heavens. What qualifications do you have to speak to me like that? You should know that even in the past, I was in existence on equal footing with the divine King Zeus. What about you? Who do you think you are? Since when did you have the right to order me around? Me? Aelios couldn't help but laugh. He suddenly disappeared in the wind and appeared in front of Lei Luan the next moment. He raised his leg and fiercely kicked Lei Luan's chin, causing Lei Luan to fall back and heavily collide with a thick pillar behind him. The surrounding tiles crumbled and slid down. Swoosh, swoosh. The lightning in Aelios' eyes surged and stuck to the side of Lei Luan's face. Suddenly, the blazing divine light melted a part of Lei Luan's steel face. The fiery red molten metal poured into his brain, causing Lei Luan to groan in pain. In an instant he couldn't use any strength in his body. The way I see it, the Titans should choose another capable deity to be their clan leader. The corner of Aelios' mouth curled up. He sneered and stabbed Lei Luan's right heart. He forcefully dug out Zeus's god core. Lei Luan immediately let out a miserable howl. Wah, leader! Keston and the other Titans all rushed over. Aelios, however, looked at the Titans with bright eyes. He suddenly pulled out the lightning and swept it across the ground. In an instant, a fan-shaped lightning zone with a radius of nearly 10 meters appeared in front of him. The lightning struck Keston and the other Titans and forced them to retreat. There was even a Titan who couldn't dodge in time and was forcibly turned into a pile of scrap metal by the lightning. Wisps of green smoke rose from the pile. What, you want to resist me? Aelios held Zeus's god core and looked sharply at the group of Titans behind him. He pointed and said, "You, come over here." the Titans all looked behind them. There, a slightly frail Titan sat there. He didn't participate in the other Titans' attack. He stood up shakily and asked, "Me? That's right, it's you. What's your name?" Aelios said firmly, "My name is Stanek, come over here." Yes. Stanek didn't dare to disobey. He leaped and landed in front of Aelios. "Do you desire power?" Aelios asked. The Zeus's god core in his hand glowed with blazing blue lightning. The light illuminated Stanek's face, making him look very confused. Stanek stood there, his whole body trembling. I desire. All right then. Since you desire power, I will grant you power." With that, Aelios abruptly raised his hand and slammed the Zeus core into Stanek's chest. Immediately, the childish Titan trembled violently. Bolts of lightning crackled around him, rapidly reshaping his body. In the blink of an eye, Stanek's height had increased by a third, and the metal covering his body had increased by quite a bit as well. He had become incomparably strong, and even the divine power he emitted was much stronger. Although he wasn't as strong as Lei Luin at his peak, he was much stronger than Lei Luin without the Zeus core. "Stanek, from now on, you are the new leader of the Titans," Aelios said calmly. Stanek slowly knelt and said, "I will be loyal to you, my lord." Not far away, Caxton was already trembling with anger. He roared, "Stanek, you are a descendant of the Titans. How dare you betray the leader and pledge loyalty to such a despicable person? You don't deserve to be a descendant of the Titans." Before he could finish speaking, Aelios suddenly turned around and swung his arm. Like lightning sweeping through the snow, Caxton's head was cut off from the middle. Brain matter splattered everywhere. He died instantly. His huge body fell heavily to the ground. The sound of his body hitting the ground struck the hearts of the Titans. Almost all the Titans knew that the Lei Luin tribe was about to be annihilated. Aelios said coldly. "Who else doesn't want to acknowledge Stanek as the new leader? Step forward." All the Titans stood there in a daze. Many of them looked at Lei Luin. He was the true leader. Only Lei Luin could change the future of the tribe. However, Lei Luin knelt on the ground shakily. He placed his fist in the rubble and said, "Lei Luin is willing to pledge loyalty to Lord Aelios and Stanek. My loyalty will never waver." Once a person had selfishness, they would become weak. When the Lei Luin tribe decided to betray the Titan gods, everything was decided. If one lost their faith, they would lose their courage. This was the logic of this world. As Lei Luin knelt, all the Titans followed suit. Caxton's corpse stood out from the crowd. It was hilarious. Aelios raised his lightning and said, "You can only wait for death here. Follow me to the demon world." Since the demon world has allied with the god world, it means that Ziyen and Baifeng no longer want the demon world. That's good. The core of the demon world contains spiritual energy for millions of years. Once you obtain this spiritual energy, you will be invincible. The group of Titans seemed a little excited. They raised their weapons and roared, "Invincible!" Lei Luin's eyes flickered. He felt a little uneasy. What Aelios said was right. The core of the demon world was like a spiritual mountain. In the past, the god-destroying tower used the power of the core. However, Aelios's move was undoubtedly a gamble. As long as the Titans absorbed the spiritual power of the demon world's core, they would truly become demons. There would be no turning back. However, they had no choice. Aelios's lightning alone was enough to make all the Titans submit. They had lost the courage to resist. In the demon world, thousands of Mara hid in the forest. They did not dare to come out even after a few days. At this moment, the sun and moon shone brightly in the sky. Huge figures flew across the sky. They were the Titans. They had returned. All the Mara hid in caves and bushes, trembling. They only dared to watch from afar. The demon world, which had once tried to swallow the world, was no longer as powerful as before. Now, it looked like it was struggling at death's door. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The Titan's piercingly cold aura scraped the ground like a blade as it flew past, causing the Maras to be even more afraid to breathe loudly. Not long after, The Fectus Sacred Hall appeared in front of them. However, the Fectus Sacred Hall had become a complete mess. More than half of the original tall buildings had collapsed, and the pile of rubble made it impossible to distinguish the former magnificence of the Fecta Sacred Hall. Aelios landed on the mountain rock at the top of the Fecta temple like a bolt of lightning. He raised the lightning in his hand and thrust it downward with all his might. With a loud bang, the mountains within a radius of several hundred meters cracked and the solid ground was shattered into pieces. The lightning shot up into the sky and swept the lightning into the depths of the earth. The Titans stood still in the air and looked at Aelios from afar. This process lasted for nearly 10 minutes. Suddenly, Aelios's body trembled. He did not retract the lightning in his hand. With a roar, demonic flames surged from underground. They were the energy of the core of the demon world, the foundation of the entire demon world. The demonic flames soared into the sky and turned into blood-red spiritual energy. "Eat up, you brats!" Aelios laughed heartily. The Titans in the sky devoured the dark spiritual energy greedily. They became crazy and their gazes became more violent. Chapter 1284. Roar, roar, roar. Stannic's entire body was covered in fiery red flames. He had absorbed the most demon flames, and his strength had increased the fastest. He had even become ruthless and did not differentiate between friend and foe. He absorbed the demon flames in a frenzy, and with a raise of his hand, he sent a Titan flying. With a roar, he also absorbed the demon flames that he had absorbed. Alos did not stop him. He laughed and said, Eat to your heart's content. This will make you stronger." Stannic was the current Titan territory. What Alos wanted was his craziness and loyalty. As long as he did not betray Alos, Stannic could do anything he wanted. Underground, the energy of the core of the demon realm erupted like a volcano. The Titans bathed in the flames and happily devoured the pure energy of the demon realm. Under the impact of the demon flames, a layer of red armor began to form on their metal shells. Light flowed on the armor and formed obscure demon runes. Although no one knew what was happening, it was clear that a mysterious power was making the Titans even more indestructible. "Ha!" Alos laughed maniacally. "It's the demon armor. Great, the demon armor will make you even stronger. Eat to your heart's content. This place is useless." The Titans roared in anger and devoured the demon energy in a frenzy. Even Lei Luin, the former leader, seemed to have gone mad. He devoured the energy of the demon realm with blood-red eyes, completely disregarding his lost authority and the deaths of his comrades. Squeak, squeak. In the distance, the Mara stared in horror at what was happening in the Fecta temple. They were stunned. No one could stop what was happening in front of them. They did not even have the time to dodge. Who would be willing to die? As the Titans devoured the demon energy, the sky of the demon realm became faintly discernible. The earth rumbled and the demon flames that once flowed freely in the demon realm began to dry up. Some kind of law was causing the power of the demon realm to decline. However, Alos did not care about any of this. To him, the entire demon realm was just a tool. As long as he could make the 300 Titans invincible, he did not care about anything else. Hall of Great Accomplishment. The water in the illusory pool turned into boiling lava, and hundreds of crazy Titans were absorbing the power of the demon world. Almost everyone was stunned and moved by the madness of the demon world. Moreover, other than Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Shi Yen, and other righteous gods, even Bai Feng, Zi Yen, and other leaders of the demon world had come. All of them were silent and solemn. Aelios is a lunatic. Zi Yen gritted his teeth. Shi Yen nodded. He is indeed a lunatic, much crazier than you were back then. Zi Yen frowned and said, in less than 3 days, the demonic power of the entire demon world will be completely depleted. Once these 300 Titans obtain the power of the entire demon world, they will become unstoppable. With their combined power, their might will be 10 times or even 100 times stronger than the god-destroying pagoda. You guys can't continue to sit back and do nothing. Lin Muyu said, what's the use of going to the devil realm now? Moreover, the war has just ended, and many of us gods are still heavily injured. We can't do anything even if we want to. Bai Feng was moved and said, Martial God, it doesn't matter if we can go or not. If we let Aelios drink the source of the demon world dry, the next one to be destroyed will be the demon world. With Aelios' desire to destroy, he will definitely destroy everything, including Mount Deshang and the Shattered Cauldron Realm. Are you willing to see all living beings welcome death? Of course not. Lin Muyu was calm and said, but if we go rashly now, we will also be sending ourselves to death. As you can see, these titans have already obtained demonic armors. In addition, Aelios' power is constantly increasing. No matter how many righteous gods we send, it will be a dead end. That's better than sitting here and waiting for death. Terralin was a warmonger. Shi Yan said, don't be impulsive. This matter must be considered carefully. If we are not careful, we will lose everything. We can't make such a mistake. This mistake will lead to the destruction of the world. Qin Yin quietly looked at the surging water in the illusory pond and suddenly asked, is there any way to stop the power of the demon world from leaking out and stop Aelios' plan? Bai Feng's eyes lit up and said, the core of the demon world is directly below the Fekta temple. The power there is endless. Once a gap is opened, the demon flames will surge out frantically and there is basically no way to stop it. The only way is to block the gap created by Aelios' lightning. But this means that we will have to face Aelios head-on. Who among us can fight against Aelios now? The 7 luminaries demon emperor pondered and did not speak. Shi Yan shook her head. Soon, all the gods looked at Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu felt a little uneasy and said with a frown, don't look at me. I am not Aelios' enemy. I will not go to my death. Besides, my death will not do the divine realm any good. Ziyao giggled and said, yes, no one wants you to be in danger. It is just a thought. On the other hand, Shi Yan pondered for a moment and said thoughtfully, in our western divine realm, there's a place called the Star Cave. It's a place that connects to both ends, one that connects to the God realm and the other that connects to the myriad domains of the mortal realm. It's like an hourglass of time. The two ends are big and the middle is small. It can connect to 2 worlds. The energy of the demon world is in the core. What is on the other side? The world is in balance. What is on the other side of the demon world? It is the divine realm. An extremely old voice was heard. It was Chu Chu who had spoken. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing and the others bowed in unison and said, Chu Chu, you are here? Chu Chu nodded. Although he was only a mid-god, he was very knowledgeable. Since he said that, he must have his reasons. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said, none of us have been to the core of the demon world. How can Chu Chu be so sure? I have been there. Chu Chu said in a low voice. Just like what Blazing Angel Shi Yan said, there is also a huge hourglass below the demon world. One end is the core that contains the energy of the demon world, and the other end is the divine realm that is full of righteousness. The entrance is right below the Hall of Great Accomplishment. I am afraid that we did not understand Heavenly Emperor Fushi's intention in building Mount Great Accomplishment. Everyone thinks that the 6 realms seal in the chaotic realm is the real demon world seal, but they do not know that the Hall of Great Accomplishment is the first demon world seal. It continuously seals the energy of the demon world and the righteousness of the divine realm. Lin Muyu frowned and said, it seems that the only way we can think of is to open the entrance of the Hall of Great Accomplishment and let the righteousness of the divine realm be released. Then, we will guide the energy of the demon world here and secretly release the energy of the demon world in the 6 realms. This is in accordance with the law of the Mahayana heavenly Tao. When there is light, there is darkness. When there is black, there is white. That's right. Chu Chu nodded and said, however, I'm afraid that the hourglass under our feet won't be released so easily. When I went underground a few months ago, I found that the mouth of the stream in the center of the hourglass has been blocked. What, it's blocked? The 7 luminaries demon emperor was shocked. F***ck, it must be those brats who don't clean the sewers often, it's blocked. Chu Chu was exasperated and said, that can't block the hourglass between the righteous and evil sides. The one that is really blocking it should be a holy beast. It was attracted by the energy of the demon world, so its body is stuck between the yin and yang sides, unable to advance or retreat. If we want our plan to succeed, the first thing we need to do is to find this holy beast and rescue it. Chinin asked, "Has Chu seen this holy beast before?" Chu shook his head. "The flames deep underground are too fierce. With my cultivation, I can only go 1 kilometer deep before I can't go any further. Otherwise, my body will be burned to ashes. We need to send a powerful person to the depths of the underground. On one hand, he must be able to withstand the blazing divine fire, and on the other hand, he must be able to defeat the holy beast that may have been demonized. Only then can we succeed." The deities immediately looked at Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu sighed. "Don't look at me again. I'm not resistant to heat, I'm only resistant to beatings." Shi Yan said, "The fire-resistant fire god Zhao Ding has already died in battle, so we're the only ones left. I'm a blazing angel, and the power of light is scorching. Perhaps I'm the most suitable person to go underground." However, Xiao shook her head. "Shi Yan, you can protect yourself, but your battle prowess may not be as good as Yu's. Think about it, without the protection of the holy martial arts, can you be sure that you can defeat the holy beast underground?" Tang Xiaoxin looked displeased. "But Mu might not be right either, but he has the highest chance of winning." Xiao smiled. "Xiaoxi, it's not that I don't love you, it's just that there's no more suitable candidate. I'll go." The one who spoke was the 7 luminaries demon emperor. He said in a low voice, "I have a proud character. I can't be burned to death or killed. How powerful can that holy beast be? I don't believe it. There's no reason for us to let you do all the risky things. Let me go this time. You're the ruler of the realm of the gods, it's even more inappropriate for you to go." At this moment, Lin Muyu raised her head. "Stop arguing, I'll go with Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi also wields the law of fire of the heavenly path of Mayana. Her flame-breaking flames can help me enter the core, and my holy martial arts can guarantee that I can defeat the holy beast. There's no one more suitable than me and Xiaoxi. When do we go?" Feng Jixing had always been resolute and decisive. He knew that if Lin Muyu wanted to go, he definitely had a chance of winning. "It's better early than late. Let's go now." Lin Muyu said, "Demon Emperor, immediately order all the gods to evacuate the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Once we open up this exit, I'm afraid that Mount Great Accomplishment will be swallowed by the holy fire and demon fire in the blink of an eye." The 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a low voice, "Pass down my order, all the gods are to leave Mount Great Accomplishment and go to Mount Luoyan and other spiritual mountains to temporarily hide. You and Xiaoxi must be careful. If the situation turns bad, return immediately, understood?" "Okay, I understand." Chapter 1285. Under the command of the 7 luminaries demon emperor, all the gods had dispersed, and the Hall of Great Accomplishment had become an empty hall. Even Goddess Nuwa had brought the heavenly melody scroll to the Luoyan mountain to continue sealing it. Under the Hall of Great Accomplishment, under Xiao's lead, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi arrived at the underground cavern of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. They could only feel the scorching heat. No one would have thought that the underground would be so hot. Even the Demon Emperor has never been here before. There are less than 10 people who know of this place, and most of them have been annihilated. Ziyao arrived at the very bottom of the cave, where there was a huge stone wall lying horizontally at the bottom of the cave. Faint golden light shone on the stone wall, and if one looked closely, they would be able to tell that it was a rune that had been engraved on it, like a seal. This is another seal of the 6 realms. The seal that Celestial the Arch-Fushi planted in the past. Ziyao lightly lifted her foot and stomped on the ground. Instantly, the light on the seal surged, and in the blink of an eye, it began to appear and dissipate. Ziyao softly said, "The seal of the 6 realms has been opened again. The passage between the divine realm and the demon realm will be opened forever." Whether it is a blessing or a curse, it will depend on our luck. Boom. The stone wall suddenly exploded, and a towering flame power rushed towards them. Ziyao naturally summoned her earth energy to protect herself. She stood majestically in this towering divine flame. Looking up, the entire Hall of Great Accomplishment was blown away from the bottom up. The Hall of Great Accomplishment that had existed for thousands of years was directly destroyed in a day. Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi also silently summoned their earth energy to protect themselves. The biting cold divine flame constantly attacked their protective divine shields, depleting their divine power. Looking down, divine flames surged into the sky. Most of these divine flames were made up of spiritual energy, which had been accumulated in the immortal realm for tens of thousands of years. It was a vast and mighty aura of righteousness. However, Lin Muyu could faintly sense that behind this vast aura of righteousness was the evil devil flames. After so many years, the divine flames and devil flames had already begun to fuse with each other. Most things in the world were not what they seemed on the surface. In the god realm, the gods and devils had been fighting for a long time, but underground, the divine flame and devil flame had almost merged together. How ironic was that? Ziyao faintly looked at the rolling waves of air in the depths of the ground and said, "I didn't think that the underground would become like this." Forget it, it's not necessarily a bad thing to vent all of this. You little she, go. You two must be extremely careful. If anything unexpected happens, immediately retreat. I'll wait for you here. Lin Muyu nodded. She lightly spread out her left hand, and blood-red lightning surged. In the blink of an eye, she and Tang Xiaoxi were blessed with the power of the Saint Martial. She glanced at Tang Xiaoxi and asked, "Are you ready?" Tang Xiaoxi smiled brightly and said, "Yes, let's go." Lin Muyu said, "Remember, you can't send me to the deepest part. You only need to use the flame-breaking flame to provide me with a certain amount of protection. Leave the saint beasts in the depths to me." "Got it. Let's go?" "Okay." Lin Muyu turned around and rushed into the rolling airwaves. Tang Xiaoxi looked back at Ziyao and disappeared at the same time, chasing after Lin Muyu. The two of them were like two moths flying into a sea of fire. "You must come back alive." Ziyao was slightly moved. She knew that Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi were not only responsible for the survival of the mortal world, but also the survival of the entire 6 realms and even the entire world. Once the plan failed, the titans of the demon realm would definitely make a comeback and destroy all the living beings in the 6 realms. Boom! Boom! The flames were extremely hot. These were divine flames that could melt anything. Not long after they entered, Lin Muyu felt that her armor was already boiling hot, as if it would melt at any time. Tang Xiaoxi, who was beside her, was calm and composed. She was one of the masters of the heavenly Tao of flames, and she specialized in the law of flames. Her gentle breath was deep and gentle, and she gave a flame-breaking flame to Lin Muyu, so that she could resist the burning of the divine flames. Lin Muyu let out a miserable groan. The flames in front of her were simply too disgusting. No wonder even Chu Chu couldn't go deep into the divine flames with his cultivation, but she had no choice but to go. "Hurry up, Xiaoxi." He unleashed his strongest holy martial power, and his entire body flashed with the light of lightning. Tang Xiaoxi frowned slightly. In fact, she didn't want Lin Muyu to take such a risk, but she had no other choice. Other than Lin Muyu, who else could fight off the holy beast that blocked the center of the hourglass in such fierce divine flames? The two of them flew deep into the ground, and the divine flames in front of them became more and more intense. When they were about 10 miles deep, the divine flames were no longer just divine flames, but had merged with the demon flames. They rolled over, burning Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi, making them feel uncomfortable. This was not a joking matter, and one mistake could instantly turn them into ashes in such a high-temperature environment. Roar! A series of roars came from the ground in the distance. Tang Xiaoxi frowned and said, "I think we're almost there. Do you hear that?" "Yes." Lin Muyu held Tang Xiaoxi's hand in one hand and the Xinyuan sword in the other, and said, "We're already quite deep here." Xiaoxi, you can't go any deeper. Just stay here and feel my aura, and use the flame-breaking flames to protect my body from afar. But, no buts. Lin Muyu suddenly pushed her upward, and her eyes were full of determination. It's my mission to destroy this holy beast, and your mission is only to send me here. Don't do anything beyond your ability. None of us want to lose you. Yes, Tang Xiaoxi did not say anything more, and just stayed where she was, but her heart was broken. Lin Muyu was right. In this deep underground, Tang Xiaoxi had done her best to resist the divine flame. At this time, let alone a holy beast, even a random holy king of the devil realm could easily kill her, who could not use the flame-breaking flames. With the roar of the holy beast, Lin Muyu held the sword and drilled into the rolling flames. Under the heat, as expected, the hourglass deep underground began to become very narrow, and the space became smaller and smaller. In the end, there was almost a hole with a diameter of 5 meters, and in that hole, a giant beast was stuck, its limbs swaying and struggling, but it could not move. Its body was covered with golden scales, and its body was burned red by the divine flame and devil flame, but it did not die. There were 2 horns on its head, and its eyes were blood red. It had been demonized, and it stared at Lin Muyu, no longer roaring. It was a dragon, and it was an ancient dragon from the east, and it was a 5-clawed yellow dragon. It must have been captured by Fuxi to guard the divine and demon hourglass. Unfortunately, now it was full of divine flame and devil flame, and there was no sign of righteousness at all. Swish, swish, swish. The blade of the Shenyuan sword spewed out a sharp chi of the AO sword tactics, and Lin Muyu had the intention to kill it in an instant. But the yellow dragon stared at her. Su Ran was shaken, and he even said, You are the new martial god. You can't kill me, I am the messenger of the celestial emperor of Fuxi. Lin Muyu said, You blocked the middle of the hourglass, and I want to open this passage, so you must die. Hourglass? The 5-clawed yellow dragon couldn't help laughing. Its voice was long and deep, and the whole space began to tremble. After a long time, it said, Have I not seen people or gods for a long time? Today's gods are so ridiculous. Is this an hourglass? Let me tell you, ignorant martial god, this space is called the Divine and Demon Well. It connects the power between gods and demons, and it is also the bridge between the 2 worlds. Do you know what the consequences of opening here are? Well, the order will be in chaos. From now on, there will be no distinction between gods and demons in the 6 realms. Gods are demons and demons are gods. You, the martial god, may become a demon god in the eyes of people. Do you want to see that? Lin Muyu frowned and said, So what? I have long been used to the battle between gods and demons. In fact, there is no absolute justice and evil. Gods may fall, and demons may become good. You are the messenger of Master Fuxi, so you should take the initiative to give way to me. Hurry up and get out of the way, we don't have much time. Master Fuxi? The 5-clawed yellow dragon spat out a stream of hot dragon breath, and the long beard at the side of its mouth shook. It seemed to be a little excited and said, So you are the disciple of the Celestial Emperor of Fuxi? Do you know who I am? The Celestial Emperor affectionately called me Big Yellow. Big Yellow? Lin Muyu pointed the blade at the yellow dragon and said, Big Yellow, don't think that I don't know you are trying to stall for time. What exactly do you want to do? Eat me, or destroy the entire 6 realms? The 5-clawed yellow dragon revealed a wronged expression. Look at what you are saying. Do you know how long I have been here? 10,000 years. Do you know what 10,000 years means? No one has ever spoken to me, and I can only talk to myself. Now that I see you, it is like seeing a family member. Martial God, I feel that the aura of the Celestial Emperor of Fuxi has completely disappeared. Tell me what happened. Why did the Celestial Emperor die? Lin Muyu frowned and said, Master was killed by the god-destroying pagoda of the demon realm Zien. Don't ask so much and immediately move away. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. How can you be so heartless? The 5-clawed yellow dragon twisted its body and said, I am one of the protectors of the 6 realms like you. Why do you want to kill me so easily? Moreover, I am the messenger of Fushi, and you are the disciple of Fushi. We are originally a family and should love each other, right? Lin Muyu roared and slashed down with her long sword. It turned into a piercingly cold sword intent of the Ao sword art and attacked. Pang! The scales on the surface of the yellow dragon's body trembled violently and actually produced an energy layer similar to a shield. It forcefully repelled Lin Muyu's sword chi. That was the 90% power of the Ao sword art. Lin Muyu furrowed her brows. This was bad. Amidst the raging flames, a dragon head suddenly pounced over. It opened its bloody mouth and twisted its tongue. It laughed with a sinister gaze and said, "That's right, I want to eat you. I haven't eaten a human in a long time, let alone a martial god." Ha! Chapter 1286. Lin Muyu suddenly disappeared, leaving behind only a cloud of smoke. The yellow dragon's bite missed its target. With a kacha sound, its sharp teeth sliced through the air. If Lin Muyu had been bitten by it, she would not have been able to escape unscathed even with her cultivation. So fast. The yellow dragon shook its head and wagged its tail. Its eyes were full of mockery. It hadn't seen a living person for a long time, so it felt that the fight with Lin Muyu had become a game for it. It breathed out red flames and said, "As expected of the Einherjar, you are much stronger than the Einherjar from 10,000 years ago. Not bad, not bad." In the rolling heat wave dozens of meters away, Lin Muyu's figure slowly emerged. She was greatly shocked. If she hadn't learned Ria's light hunting skill, it would have been difficult for her to escape from the yellow dragon's swift and violent sneak attack. This cunning yellow dragon was no longer a guardian, but an evil beast in the divine well for 10,000 years. Swoosh, swoosh. With the sword chi crisscrossing around her, Lin Muyu quickly released her strongest power, and the proud sword tactics was raised to the extreme. She stood majestically and looked at the yellow dragon indifferently. "This is the last time, get out of here, or I won't show mercy. No, I won't leave. This is my home, and guarding this place is my mission." The yellow dragon's expression was quite ferocious, and it laughed. "Do you know? I've been tired of this place for so many years. I've repeatedly called Celestial Ruler Fushi, but he never listened. When I was breaking through the layer, I suffered the backlash of the enchantment. Damn Fushi Celestial Ruler, he actually used the seal of the 6 realms to deal with me." Lin Muyu said angrily, "The seal of the 6 realms is used to seal the divine well and block the passage between the divine realm and the demon realm. It is not used to deal with. Why do you wrongly accuse Master?" "I don't care." The yellow dragon meandered in the air and smirked coldly. "It is the selfish Fushi that made me suffer here for 10,000 years. His promise that I will ascend to the celestial realm's dragon race has never been fulfilled. Master has been killed, how can it be fulfilled?" Lin Muyu frowned. "If you really want to become a god, I can do it for you as long as you promise me to leave this place immediately." "What, even you are afraid of me? My dragon scales have become fiery scales, my sharp claws have become indestructible, and my internal organs have been tempered for tens of thousands of years. At least here, in this blazing environment, I can defeat you. Therefore I will never leave. You gods are all hypocrites. Once I leave, you will kill the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness. The next one to die will definitely be me." "Thus, messenger, I will protect you," Mu said. "I know, I will do my best. If and said I and you. And, I don't believe you. I've long since given up on you gods." Yellow Dragon opened his mouth wide, and mucus flowed down his sharp teeth, turning into thick flames. He laughed. "There is only one thing I want to do now, and that is to eat you and use your godhead and blood essence to build my supreme beast core. Join our dragon clan and become a part of my body. What do you think of this suggestion, martial god?" Lin Muyu raised her sword. "Do you really think I can't kill you in the demon god well?" "Of course." "Then open your dog eyes wide, I'll show you." Lin Muyu appeared out of nowhere, her long sword slashing down from the sky, bringing with it countless sharp chi waves that swept downwards. In an instant, it was as if thousands of sharp swords had descended from the sky, all stabbing into Huang Long's protective shield. The sounds of the sword chi were all repelled, and one could even see faint red ripples on the surface of Huang Long's body. This protective shield was not just any ordinary layer of sturdiness. With a low shout, Lin Muyu flew out of the flames and slashed at the yellow dragon's neck like a bolt of lightning. However, the Xianyuan sword could not cut through it. It only penetrated an inch into the yellow dragon's protective shield before it was repelled by the strong rebound, and Lin Muyu was sent flying. Phew! The yellow dragon roared, and the blazing dragon flame turned into a sharp arrow and chased after them. Lin Muyu did not dare to take this kind of attack head-on. His feet turned into a light, and he instantly left the place with the light hunting skill. Although he might not be able to kill the yellow dragon, it was impossible for the yellow dragon to kill him. After all, even if the yellow dragon had the highest cultivation and was tempered by the devil flame and divine flame, he was just a beast after all, far from the god of the Mahayana world. In the rolling fire clouds, Lin Muyu raised his sword and slashed down again. Countless sword intents in the air turned into a huge image of the Xianyuan sword and slashed down at the yellow dragon's head. It had the momentum of immortal beheading the dragon. If it were an ordinary dragon, it would have been unable to bear the AO sword tactics and would have been beheaded. However, this dragon was very special. The energy shield on the surface of its body was indeed indestructible. Boom! The violent impact shook the whole well of gods and demons. This attack of Lin Muyu was almost his strongest attack. The huge sword light of the Xianyuan sword constantly hit and smashed the body of the yellow dragon, but the lethality of the transformation was also very amazing. The yellow dragon's head and tail shook and howled, but it was only in pain. Until the layer of fiery red energy on its body completely dissipated. You bastard! The yellow dragon roared and opened its mouth to the sky for a while. Suddenly, dozens of dragon flames flew and splashed in the fire clouds from different angles. Lin Muyu launched the light hunting skill and kept dodging. At the same time, wherever his eyes passed, he was shocked. He saw the divine flame and devil flame in the well of gods and demons rushing to the five-clawed yellow dragon, condensing into a thick layer of energy armor on the surface of its body. No wonder this yellow dragon was so arrogant. It turned out that it had absorbed the power of the well of gods and demons and turned it into its own. Swish! A fierce light fell from the sky with dozens of sword chi. The attack was completed almost instantly. Bang bang bang, it was still too late. By the time Lin Muyu's sword chi reached the five-clawed yellow dragon, the five-clawed yellow dragon's barrier had already solidified once again, and the sword chi was completely deflected away. Lin Muyu was pushed back nearly 100 meters by the powerful rebound. Panting heavily, she looked at the five-clawed yellow dragon with a deep gaze and said, "I'll give you one last chance. Submit to me, move aside, and follow me back to the immortal realm. Otherwise, I will kill you." The yellow dragon wriggled, its eyes full of mockery. Nowadays, the martial god only knows how to show off with words. Are you being aggressive here? If you want to kill me, then kill me. Why do you have to talk so much? With the protection of the divine flame and devil flame, it was fearless and basically ignored Lin Muyu's attack. Under this situation, Lin Muyu continued to attack fiercely. His aura was no longer calm, and there were even burn wounds on his body from the dragon flame. Boom! The blood-red lightning spread, and Lin Muyu pulled himself together again to launch the proud sword tactics. In an instant, the surroundings were filled with surging sharp sword chi. The sword chi was so dense that it turned into a huge sword ball. Then, Lin Muyu controlled the ball and smashed it on the yellow dragon. Roar! The yellow dragon roared angrily as its five claws shook, tearing and scratching at the sword ball in a frenzy. Lin Muyu, on the other hand, did not care and attacked with all her might. In an instant, the scene looked like a divine dragon playing with a pearl. However, this pearl was filled with the power to devour the divine dragon, and in the blink of an eye, it shattered the energy layer around the yellow dragon. Lin Muyu was going all out. She bet on her divine power recovery speed to be faster than the yellow dragon's and that her killing move would be more powerful. Bang! With a soft sound, the energy layer around the yellow dragon instantly collapsed. It seemed to understand what was about to happen and hurriedly begged for mercy. Martial God, I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. This dragon is willing to surrender to you and contribute to the divine realm. Swoosh! In the light hunting technique, Lin Muyu suddenly stopped in his tracks. Stepping on the sky full of flames, he looked down at the yellow dragon and said calmly, "It's too late." What's too late? The yellow dragon looked at him in shock. However, at this moment, the dragon scales on the yellow dragon's neck suddenly burst open, and blood gushed out. The yellow dragon did not even know when Lin Muyu made this fatal strike. His head and body began to separate, and hot blood splattered in the air. In the blink of an eye, the corpse was devoured by the divine and demonic flames and burned to ashes. Lin Muyu let out a miserable groan. She lowered her head to look at her chest and arms, which were already covered in a layer of gray. Her powerful martial god body was about to be melted by the flames. He even lost control of his body. Killing the yellow dragon only took a few moves, but he had already exhausted his divine power. In the blink of an eye, he fell into the rolling flames. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The flames in the demon god well churned, and a beautiful figure flew out. Holding the Zhu Rong blazing sword, she immediately saw Lin Muyu engulfed by the flames. Tears immediately fell from her eyes. She flew over without a care and suddenly hugged Lin Muyu. She activated the fire of destruction to protect him, stepped on the void, and quickly flew to the ground with Lin Muyu. Boom! Huge waves surged into the sky, completely burning down the foundation of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The flames rushed into the sky and then turned into spiritual chi, enshrouding the 6 realms. First came the divine flame, then came the endless demonic flame. The plan had succeeded. The demonic energy in the core of the demon world had already begun to pour into the 6 realms. Swoosh! Following the flames, Tang Shi flew out with Lin Muyu in her arms and fell heavily into the mess of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Ziyao hurriedly ran over, but when she saw Lin Muyu's body was scorched black, almost unrecognizable. Her heart trembled and she murmured, "She." Tears rolled down Tang Shi's face. She looked up at Ziyao and asked, "Is this what you wanted?" Ziyao was heartbroken. She shouted into the distance, "Chu Yao, quickly come and save you." Chapter 1287. A layer of rain mist enshrouded Lin Muyu's body. Chu Yao gently placed her palm on Lin Muyu's chest and said, "Fortunately, his internal organs were not burned. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult to save him. Xiaoxi, don't cry. Don't worry, Yu is a martial god. His self-healing ability is more than enough for him to recover to his original state. It's just that he can't recover his strength for a while." "Really?" "Yes, why would I lie to you?" Tang Xiaoxi wiped away her tears and knelt beside Lin Muyu. On the other side was the silent Qin Yin, tightly holding onto Lin Muyu's burnt palm. She had never seen Lin Muyu suffer such heavy injuries. In fact, it was rare to see Lin Muyu injured to such a degree. However, everyone could also see that the charred surface of Lin Muyu's body was slowly fading away, revealing the smooth and translucent skin underneath. This was the skin that the martial god had tempered. After a light breeze blew past and the rain dispersed, Lin Muyu's body looked brand new. As his strength recovered, even the martial god's attire gradually returned to normal. A set of majestic armor parts appeared one by one. He slowly woke up. When he opened his eyes, he saw Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's anxious expressions. He couldn't help but smile and comfort them. "What's wrong? It's raining?" The 2 goddesses were both angry and happy that he could still crack a joke at such a time. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said, "Send you back to the great void temple to recuperate. Ziyao, bring the eastern god realm's best snow lotus root, myriad spirit grass, and other healing panaceas to you. He must recover his strength as soon as possible." "Yes, demon emperor." Under the escort of Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Sidu San, and the other gods, they sent Lin Muyu back to the Great Void Temple to recuperate. Countless streams of divine flames and devilish flames shot into the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The original Hall of Great Accomplishment no longer existed. It was a palace that had existed for many years in the god world, and now it had been destroyed in a single day. From now on, the god realm and the demon realm are completely connected. Shi Yan's elegant and alluring blazing angel robes fluttered in the wind. She had a complicated look in her eyes as she said, "Back then, the elder gods of the god realm probably didn't expect that the demon realm, which had been sealed for 10,000 years, would rejoin the 6 realms in such a way, right?" Dong Ming said in a low voice, "All of this was fated by the heavens. Since the Mahayana heavenly axiom reshuffled the order of heaven and earth after Tian Fa, then it's no longer strange for the demon realm to rejoin the 6 realms. On the contrary, I think this is a good thing. If the god realm and the demon realm want to coexist peacefully, then we need to understand each other and not lie low. That will only lead to a new war." Bai Feng, Holy Emperor, what do you think? Bai Feng stood in front of the group of demon gods and said indifferently, "What godly King Dong Ming said is not without reason. The demon realm is also willing to accept mutual supervision from the god realm and coexist peacefully. However, before that, the most important thing is to take back the demon realm. Although the core of the demon realm has been exposed, it is still our home." "It is no longer your home," the 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a low voice. "The demon god's well has been opened, and the 2 worlds have become one. Now it is our common home. However, after the power of the demon realm has been released from the god realm, Aelios and the Titans will definitely not let it go. The next war of the gods may be coming soon. When they come again, we will be facing the Titans who have absorbed part of the demon realm's power. They will be even stronger than before. With our current strength, we will be theirs, right?" Lao Hua asked. "Whether or not you will participate in the war is very important." Shi Yan frowned slightly, as if she was a little worried. She said, "We all know how strong the power of the holy martial arts is, but now that Yu is injured, who knows how long it will take for him to recover his full strength. On the other hand, Aelios will definitely not give us such a chance. Once the Titan army arrives, we can only brace ourselves and fight. Now that the Hall of Great Accomplishment has been destroyed, I'm afraid we can only rely on the Luoyan Mountain for defense." Sun Feng looked worried. "Don't the righteous have any other forces? Are we the only ones left?" Terralyn pouted and asked. "That's right, we're the only ones left," the 7 luminaries demon emperor said. "No, there's actually more." An old voice came from the corner. Everyone looked over and saw that it was the silver-haired Chu Chu. He stood majestically on a collapsed stone pillar and said, "This race used to have a heart for the light, but it was covered in dust later on. Since then, they have been unable to recover and hibernated in a corner of the universe. However, their power is unquestionable." The 7 luminaries demon emperor asked. Chu Chu smiled and said, "The dragon race, the race closest to the gods. It can even be said that some of the dragon race have surpassed the gods." Tisk. The 7 luminaries demon emperor did not hide the disdain in his eyes and said, "Chu Chu, you and I have seen the dragon race. They are merely the pets of the gods. Even the Mahayana heavenly path's righteous gods might not be able to defeat the Titans now, let alone the mere dragon race." Chu Chu smiled indifferently and said, "What was the highest level of the dragon race that the emperor saw last time?" "The golden saint dragon, one of the dragon gods, 5 claws." "That's right," Chu Chu said comfortably. "The emperor has only seen the golden saint dragon." "That's just a saint dragon, not the legendary ancestral dragon." "Ancestral dragon?" "That's right, the ancestor of all dragons. They have been sleeping for hundreds of thousands of years, and their bodies have become a part of the fossil. However, once the ancestral dragon awakens, their power will be unprecedented, enough to burn the heavens and destroy the earth. When I was cultivating, my spiritual sense traveled through time and space, and I even met the ancestral dragons once. They are kind and benevolent, so they might be able to help us. Really? Shi Yan was a little excited. She smiled and said, if that's the case, that's great. I didn't expect the dragon race to have existences like the ancestral dragons. Where are they now? The world has changed, and the seas have been washed away. Those ancestral dragons have been washed away by the wind and frost 700 years ago. Washed away? Shi Yan was shocked. What do you mean by washed away? It means that they're dead. The 7 luminaries demon emperor explained. Shi Yan was furious. F***ck, they're already dead and you're still talking about it? Chu, are you making fun of us? Chu smiled and said, I wouldn't dare. Although the ancestral dragons have been washed away by the wind and frost for thousands of years, we will still see them and guide them to the human world. What is it? The Wheel of Reincarnation. Have all the previous god emperors forgotten about this ability? The 7 luminaries demon emperor could not help but take a deep breath. He frowned and said, but isn't it a little too risky to turn the Wheel of Reincarnation back 700 years? What if it's just a mistake, and we might never be able to return and get lost in the cracks of time and space? When I turned the Wheel of Reincarnation back then, it was only 100 years. If it was 700 years, I don't think I could control it. Chu said, now, we are standing on a key time and space node. This node is the bridge between the demon world and the divine world. This node cannot be changed, so we can only change other nodes to influence the final outcome. Our fate is completely in our own hands. The Wheel of Reincarnation back 700 years and summon the dying ancestral dragons to fight for the divine world. This is the only way to win. Otherwise, we can only wait for Aelios and the Titans to destroy us one by one. The gods were silent. Suddenly, Xiao said, I believe in Chu judgment. After the Mahayana heavenly axiom descended, the power of the gods continued to advance, even far surpassing the ancestral gods. If even we can't protect the heavenly axiom, then the only ones who can save the divine world are the races that have yet to show their power, the ancestral dragons. So, we have no choice. The 7 luminaries demon emperor took a deep breath and said, then make preparations. Bring me some dry rations to eat on the way. I will do my best to turn the Wheel of Reincarnation back 700 years and find those ancestral dragons. No. Chu shook his head and said, Emperor, although you are powerful, you are not the best choice to find the ancestral dragons. What do you mean? The 7 luminaries demon emperor was a little surprised. Chu explained, you have the title of Mad God, and every step you take is your own will. Even the heavenly Tao can't restrain you, Mad God, so how can the law of time restrain you? If there are no restraints, how can you tell whether it's 700 years or 600 years? Even if you successfully travel through time, how can you calculate today's time node and bring the ancestral Gragon back here? And most importantly, Emperor, you have an unyielding temperament. Although those ancestral dragons are kind and docile, they are not completely harmless. I am worried that, Emperor, you will fight them. This won't work, that won't work. Chu, what do you think we should do? We need a cautious, powerful, and confident over-god who can go 700 years in the past and return. Moreover, he must be humble and courageous enough to gain the trust and appreciation of the ancestral dragons. Only such a person has the right to go 700 years in the past to find the ancestral dragons. Who can do it? The one lying in the Great Void Temple. Chu smiled. The 7 luminaries demon emperor frowned and said, he just suffered such heavy injuries. Are you sure? Chu stroked his beard and smiled. Emperor, you underestimate a martial god's self-healing ability. If he can't recover from his injuries, can he still be called a martial god? We'll be able to see the vigorous and lively martial god tomorrow morning. Besides, in terms of the mastery of power and space-time, I'm afraid only Ayu can bring the ancestral Gragon back to today's node without the slightest error. Then let's wait and see tomorrow morning. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a deep voice, tomorrow morning, I will go back 700 years with you. What are you going to do? Shi Yan asked. Help him fight. Shi Yan was speechless for a moment. The next day, when the first rays of the sun rose, Lin Muyu had already woken up from her sleep. Ugh! While he was still dreaming, he felt a warm current flowing through his body. It was a kind of pure spiritual energy. Before he got out of bed, he raised his arm and waved it. It was extremely smooth. Even the divine power in his body had recovered by more than 80%, and his injuries were almost healed. It seemed like the elixirs of the God realm were indeed miraculous. "Is you awake yet?" The loud voice of the demon emperor came from outside. "What are you being so noisy for? He's still sleeping." Qin Yin scolded fiercely. The demon emperor said, "All right, sister-in-law, don't be angry. I'm just asking. Continue watching, I'll come back later to ask." Chapter 1288. Really? The seven luminaries demon emperor was shocked. He was roasted like a sweet potato yesterday, but he's alive and kicking today. Lin Muyu. What's the matter? Thus, the seven luminaries demon emperor told them about the ancestral Gragon. After listening, Lin Muyu was deeply convinced and said, since Chu had once spoken to the ancestral Gragon's relic with his spiritual sense, it means that the ancestral Gragon really did exist. In that case, we might as well make a trip there. Moreover, the Wheel of Wheels has returned to this node, so we don't have to worry about Allos suddenly attacking the realm of gods. We can just look for the ancestral Gragon. Big Brother Demon Emperor, do you know where the ancestral Gragon is? I don't know. The seven luminaries demon emperor shook his head readily. If you don't know, then what the hell are we looking for? Lin Muyu almost choked with anger and said, come, let's go find Chu and ask clearly before we go, so we don't have to waste time. But at the peak of Luoyan Mountain, Chu was sitting motionlessly among the weeds and dead trees like a short pine tree, as if he had integrated with the entire nature. However, a sincere and tranquil aura overflowed, giving people an indescribable sense of tranquility. Although Lin Muyu and the seven luminaries demon emperor's strength were above Chu's, in terms of mental and physical cultivation, they were far inferior to Chu. Russell, Lin Muyu and the seven luminaries demon emperor landed one after another. After walking forward, Lin Muyu cupped her fists and bowed, Chu, demon emperor and I are here. Chu smiled and said without turning around, 700 years ago, the dragon race hibernated in a plane of ice under the jurisdiction of the northern god realm. That plane is called the Undying World. Millions of dragons lived in the Undying World. You can go and investigate, but I read from the remnant spiritual sense of the ancestral Gragon that they were aloof from worldly affairs. Otherwise, they would not have willingly weathered and died in this icy world. Go, whether you can summon the ancestral Gragon back to the realm of gods will depend on your ability. Then, thank you Chu. Lin Muyu lightly stomped on the ground and immediately, a blue light began to spin around her. The space began to distort and change, and the mysterious holy martial energy enshrouded the outer layer of the ball of light, breathing heavily as it traveled through space and time. Big Brother, come in, we should be leaving. Lin Muyu said. The seven luminaries demon emperor said, but I haven't brought the snacks and rations that Ziyao prepared for me. Do we really have to leave in such a hurry? There will naturally be food 700 years ago. What's there to be afraid of? Let's go. The moment the seven luminaries demon emperor walked into the ball of light, a surge of power came from Lin Muyu. This caused the seven luminaries demon emperor to be inwardly shocked. He couldn't imagine how strong Lin Muyu had grown. At the very least, he didn't have the confidence that he would be able to achieve such an exquisite power of Dozhuan. On the contrary, Lin Muyu didn't even hesitate and directly activated the Dozhuan. This meant that he had absolute confidence in succeeding. Chu, see you in a bit. Lin Muyu smiled. He knew that no matter how long he and the Demon Emperor went to the Undying World, it would only be a blink of an eye here. Go on, kid. Chu smiled. Lin Muyu silently circulated his god power. In the blink of an eye, he locked onto the time 700 years ago. He exerted strength in his legs and with a pung, a shock wave spread out. He and the 7 luminaries demon emperor disappeared from the spot. Schwa, space-time reversed. Countless streams of light flew past the two of them. The violent impact caused them to be unable to open their eyes. A normal person wouldn't be able to withstand such a degree of reversal. However, the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Lin Muyu could barely withstand it. A light flashed past. The two of them were still standing on flat ground. Moreover, they were still on the lone peak of the Luoyan mountain. However, there wasn't a great void hall at the foot of the mountain. It was just a piece of wilderness. In the distance was the majestic Hall of Great Accomplishment. They could vaguely make out that this was how the Hall of Great Accomplishment looked like 700 years ago. Hall of Great Accomplishment. The 7 luminaries demon emperor sighed. Lin Muyu asked, "Big brother, who was in charge of the Eastern God world 700 years ago?" "The fire god, Yuan Yen, was defeated by me in the past, but now. I can make Yuan Yen submit to my majesty with a little finger." "Ayu, where are you now?" Lin Muyu had a helpless look on his face. "Damn, 700 years ago. The world I lived in was still in the gunpowder era. My country was still under the rule of the Yuan dynasty. According to the time, this year is 42 years since the Battle of Cliff Mountain and the fall of the Southern Song dynasty. Yu Fei and Han Shizhong have been dead for who knows how long. The most glorious flame in China's recent history has been extinguished. As for my family tree, my grandfather and great-grandfather haven't even been born yet. Where do you think I am?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor couldn't help but laugh. "Sai, you're really young? You seem to hate that era a lot?" Lin Muyu, "Of course. For my country, it was a total annihilation. After the Battle of Cliff Mountain, more than 3/4 of the Han people in the household register were massacred. The highly developed civilization, economy, and society of the Southern Han were completely destroyed. After the Yuan dynasty took over, the Han people in the north were the 3rd class and the Han people in the south were the 4th class. At that time, all the Han villages were settled with Mongolians. Before a Han woman got married, she had to sleep with a Mongolian for 3 days. Old Han people had to go to a tomb to wait for death when they were 60 years old. Many people say that the Yuan dynasty shocked Europe and Asia. I think it's better to forget about it. It was the shame of a nation for 1,000 years. Someone even said, after Cliff Mountain, there is no China. According to my character, I should have reincarnated for another 40 years to change everything. But you're not the kind of god that changes history on your own." The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled. He looked very confident. "You're a god. The turmoil and killings in the mortal world have little to do with you." Lin Muyu laughed. "That's true. Forget it, let nature take its course. Let's go. Let's not talk about this anymore. Our mission this time is to find the ancestral dragons in the undying world. We have to be fast. Otherwise, the ancestral dragons might all die and commit suicide. Yeah, what are these stupid dragons thinking? They're just fine." Suddenly, 3 figures flew over from afar. Each of them was holding a weapon. Their faces were filled with malicious intent. They surrounded the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Lin Muyu. One of them said, "Who are you? How dare you trespass into the territory of Mount Deshang?" The person who spoke looked familiar. From the official rank in the god world, he was a small officer. The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed. "I know you. You're Sun Feng. Io, a god king Sun Feng. I'm dying of laughter. How do you know me?" Sun Feng was shocked. At this moment he didn't know the 7 luminaries demon emperor, nor did he know Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu was speechless. "Demon emperor, are you going to reminisce with Sun Feng here? The more we do here, the more we'll change the course of history. When that happens, it'll be even harder to find the way back." "That's true. Let's not chat anymore. Let's go to the northern heaven world. Do you think the eastern god world is a place where you can come and go as you please?" Sun Feng shouted in a low voice. With a shake of his spear, it turned into a dazzling light and went straight for Lin Muyu's shoulder. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She just glanced sideways at Sun Feng. Suddenly, the sword aura of the Ao sword technique swept up and crushed Sun Feng's spear. The piercingly cold aura forced Sun Feng to take a few steps back. The other two god kings were also dumbfounded. The territory that Lin Muyu had burst forth was beyond their imagination. Their legs even turned to jelly, and they had the urge to kneel down in submission. This was the pressure that existed when there was an absolute disparity in strength. "Let's go!" Lin Muyu leaped away. With one stride, she was several miles away. The seven luminaries Demon Emperor also followed closely behind, completely ignoring Sun Feng and the other guardians of East Heaven. Their journey was unimpeded. With their cultivation and flying speed, ordinary gods couldn't catch them at all, let alone 700 years ago when the gods were relatively weak. Very soon, they entered the territory of the Northern Heaven realm. Amidst the starry sky, it was indescribably beautiful. As Lin Muyu flew, she turned around and asked, "Big brother, who was the master of the Northern Heaven realm 700 years ago?" "Dongming." The seven luminaries Demon Emperor laughed. "That old fellow has long ruled the Northern Heaven realm. But don't worry, our destination this time isn't Blackrock City, but the border Undying World. It's just a desolate plain under the jurisdiction of the Northern Heaven realm. Even the Undying World hasn't appeared in the spiritual mountain register of the Northern Heaven realm. It's enough to show that Dong Ming, this fool, doesn't know that the powerful dragon clan is hibernating in his own territory. Or maybe Dong Ming simply looks down on the power of the dragon clan." "That's true." The seven luminaries Demon Emperor smiled slightly. "The strength of ordinary flying dragons and cloud dragons can only be considered as quasi-gods. They can't even compare to the strength of Hierarch. Dong Ming naturally looks down on them." "Can you determine the location of the Undying World?" "More or less. You can rely on your spiritual sense to sense. The aura of the Dragon Clan is incomparably sacred and powerful. It's something that mortals can't compare with. As long as you enter the mortal world, I believe you'll soon be able to sense the aura of the Dragon Clan. It'll also be convenient for me to correct my judgment." The two of them began to increase their flying speed. Like two meteors falling side by side, they pierced through a certain enchantment. They pierced through the enchantment. That was the dividing line between the god realm and the mortal world. After the two of them passed through, they immediately caused ripples on the enchantment. This information would be transmitted to God King Dong Ming, but he definitely wouldn't pay much attention to it. At this time, Dong Ming was lying on a high pillow, definitely seeking pleasure. Lin Muyu squinted her eyes as she flew at high speed. Her spiritual sense quickly spread out. Very soon, there seemed to be something in the distance that was calling out to her. Her heart moved slightly and she said, "Found it, it's very close." Chapter 1289. Busy. Lin Muyu and the seven luminaries Demon Emperor passed through the high-temperature haze. There were no stars nearby, so there was no heat source. However, the haze on the surface was like sunlight. This was probably the reason why the dragon race could survive here. Swoosh swoosh. Two meteors swooped down from the sky and landed, creating dazzling sparks. Lin Muyu squinted, trying to determine where the ancestral dragon was. However, the connection to his spiritual sense seemed to be broken in an instant, leaving him at a loss. He gradually slowed down his dive. "What's wrong?" asked the seven luminaries Demon Emperor. "The ancestral dragon's aura has disappeared." "Oh? How is that possible?" "They discovered us, so they hid their aura." "But it doesn't matter." Lin Muyu smiled. "They should be at the place with the densest dragon aura. Let's go, I know where they are." But the two of them landed in the air only 100 meters above the ground. Then, they stopped and flew along the surface of the ground. The airwaves from their flight tore through the air, forming a loud roar. However, they couldn't care less. They were here for the dragon race anyway. There was no need to hide at all. As they flew, they looked down at the ground. Soon, they could see many long-necked dragon race devouring leaves in the dense forest. They seemed very docile, completely ignoring the two main gods in the sky. It's a long-necked dragon. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor smiled. I didn't expect to see such a species here. How rare. This is indeed the gathering place of the dragon race. There are more over there. Lin Muyu pointed into the distance. In the valley a few miles away, dragon roars could be heard. The sky was surrounded by clouds, and there was a dragon's shadow rolling. It was a white dragon with silver scales. Its beard swayed, and it had an awe-inspiring aura. It was a cloud dragon, one of the high-level dragon race and also one of the holy dragon race. It could swallow clouds and spit fog, and its combat power was extraordinary. Within the clouds and mist, there were at least a few dozen cloud dragons spying on them. Their auras began to calm down and ease, and instead, they seemed to be in a state of mutual hostility. Papa! Lightning flashed in the forest. Numerous gigantic creatures were entrenched on the mountain ridges. They raised their majestic heads and opened their bloody mouths slightly, spitting out bolts of lightning. They were thunder dragons, one of the more ancient dragon clans. One of the gigantic thunder dragons twisted its wriggling body, and clouds and mist constantly appeared around it. It quickly flew up into the sky and blocked the path of Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries' demon emperor. Stop right there. Its mouth didn't move, but it released human speech, draconic language. Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries' demon emperor quickly stopped. It was clearly impolite to barge into someone else's territory. After all, they were here to ask the Dragon Clan for help, not to fight. Lin Muyu put the Xinyuan sword behind her back, stepped forward, and cupped her fists. Eastern God Realm's Lin Muyu and 7 luminaries' demon emperor have come to pay their respects to the Dragon Clan's ancestral dragon elders. Please pass on the message. The thunder dragon's huge eyes closed, and when they opened again, they shone brightly. The dragon whiskers on both sides of its nose swayed slowly, as if it was peering into the other party's heart. Its mental energy flowed into Lin Muyu's heart like a stream, but who was Lin Muyu? In terms of mental energy, he was one of the best in the God realm. With a light smile, he opened a barrier in the depths of his heart, and no matter how hard the Thunder Dragon's mental energy tried, it couldn't penetrate it. On the other hand, Lin Muyu's mental energy penetrated in the opposite direction, and she could see through some of the Thunder Dragon's thoughts. So it's the Thunder Ancestral Dragon. My apologies. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor was shocked. He's one of the ancestral dragons? Yes. Lin Muyu said, to be able to cultivate such dense dragon energy and even form 2 holy dragons' grasps, he must be one of the ancestral dragons. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor could also see that there were 2 protrusions on the thunder dragon's abdomen. They looked ordinary, but there was clearly a kind of magma-like power brewing and lying dormant, as if it could explode at any time. This thunder ancestral dragon was definitely not easy to deal with. On the contrary, the lightning ancestral dragon, who was staring at the 2 of them, fell into deep thought. After a long time, he said, "You are not anyone from the Eastern Divine Realm. My consciousness has already seen through all the changes in the Divine Realm. Your figures are not in the Divine Book, nor are your names. Tell me, who are you? Why did you enter the Dragon Clan's territory?" As he spoke, streaks of invisible lightning spread out to form a large net around Ancestral Gragon's body. It was as if he would attack at any moment. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor had a violent temper and would attack at any time. Therefore, it was still Lin Muyu who spoke. He took another step forward and stood in front of the thunder ancestral dragon that was like a mountain. He looked very small, but his voice was very loud, and he said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing, "We are Samsara, and have come from 700 years in the future." 700 years in the future? The thunder ancestral dragon narrowed its eyes, and its nostrils exhaled wisps of lightning. The heavenly Tao is vague, and none of the gods in the God realm have the ability to travel 700 years in the future. If you lie to the Dragon Clan, do you know the consequences? In the surroundings, thunder dragons, cloud dragons, and flying dragons had already surrounded him. They let out soundless roars, and their auras quickly formed a huge domain, making it impossible for anyone to hide. The dragon race's attack would be even more ferocious and tragic. It was much stronger than the hunting of ordinary ferocious beasts. Compared to the hunting of the dragon race, the hunting of the wolf race was simply as laughable as a cat catching a mouse. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor looked around, and the flames in his eyes surged, quickly condensing into the shape of Panga's axe. He said, If you can't get through to them, let's fight them first. These dragon clan are masters that can only be forced, but not cowed. It'll be easy to deal with them after we beat them up. Lin Muyu groaned inwardly, don't make a move first. We are here as envoys of the gods from 700 years in the future, not to fight. Big brother, please restrain yourself. But the 7 luminaries' demon emperor gritted his teeth and restrained himself, but his left eye was already glowing. As long as the dragon clan made any big moves, he would immediately unleash an 8 lights celestial river disturbance. Lin Muyu looked up at the thunder ancestral dragon, took a deep breath, and said, Lord Ancestral Dragon, please take a look at this first. As he said that, he sank his qi into his dantian and circulated his godly energy. Immediately, a golden armor appeared on his body, and a crimson cloak fluttered behind him. He had already entered the martial god transformation state, and his aura became even more decisive and indomitable. Blood-colored lightning flowed around him, and the power of the Saint Martial was hidden within. It was somewhat similar to the Thunder Ancestral Dragon's domain. This is? The Thunder Ancestral Dragon was slightly surprised. Lin Muyu said, This is the power of the gods from 700 years in the future. 700 years in the future, a great war caused the heaven realm to fall, and when all living beings perished, the Mahayana heavenly Tao appeared to protect the common people. We are the last batch of gods to protect the Mahayana heavenly Tao, but the enemy is too strong. They have absorbed the core energy of the spiritual mountains of the various major planes, and even pierced through the core of the demon realm, absorbing a part of the demon realm's power. This group of enemies is no longer something we can deal with, so we transmigrated 700 years to ask the ancestral dragons, who are about to perish, to help us survive this calamity. Every word he said was sonorous and unquestionable. The Thunder Ancestral Dragon narrowed his eyes again, as if trying to see through Lin Muyu's thoughts. This time, Lin Muyu opened her heart, allowing him to peep into her true thoughts. For a moment, the Thunder Ancestral Dragon was stunned for a few seconds, then he slowly came to his senses and said, You are indeed the Lord God from 700 years in the future, but I can't decide the matters of the ancestral dragons on my own. How about this? I will bring you to the depths of the Dragon Valley to meet His Majesty the Dragon God and the other 7 ancestral dragons. At that time, you can explain everything. As for whether you can do as you wish, it will depend on His Majesty the Dragon God and the other 7 ancestral dragons. Alright, thank you. Come with me. The Thunder Ancestral Dragon slithered toward the depths of the Dragon Valley, while Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries' demon emperor followed closely behind. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor did not expect things to go so smoothly. He thought that they would have to fight to settle the matter, so he had a resentful look on his face. There was actually something in this world that could be settled just by talking. The world had really changed. The sacred land of the Dragon Valley was known as the Dragon's Domain. The Dragon's Domain was the residence of tens of thousands of dragons, as well as the residence of the Dragon God and the 8 ancestral dragons. The Dragon God also had the cultivation of the ancestral dragons, but in fact, there were 9 ancestral dragons. It was these 9 ancestral dragons that decided the future of the Dragon's Domain. There were more and more dragons in the surroundings. There were many dragons of all kinds, some of which Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries' demon emperor had never seen before. Moreover, there were more and more holy dragons. There were eastern dragons and western dragons. There was an endless variety of them. In the distance, a green mountain range stretched across the ancient land like a giant dragon. The encircling shape became the protective umbrella of the giant dragons, and this was the sacred land of the dragon clan, the Dragon's Domain. Under the high cliffs, holy dragons were entrenched there, lazily immersed in a deep slumber that would last for years, decades, or even centuries. Huff! It was the breath of the ancestral dragons. They were powerful, and every breath formed a field visible to the naked eye. The stones and leaves in the surroundings floated up and down. It was a spectacular sight. The thunder ancestral dragon slithered over and said in dragon language, "My king! Elders, the celestial race from 700 years later has come. They have a request for the dragon clan. Please meet them." "Oh, is that so?" A red flame ancestral dragon with flames all over its body slowly opened its eyes. Its sharp eyes seemed to be able to melt stones and forge gold. Following its gaze, Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. None of these ancestral dragons were easy to deal with. This was inevitable. The dragon god that was surrounded by the 7 great ancestral dragons also slowly opened its eyes. Its pair of azure eyes were like the starry sky that could see through people's hearts. It raised its head and looked at Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor with an inviolable aura. It said, "Are you really the gods from 700 years later?" Chapter 1290. Yes, how can this be fake? The 7 luminaries demon emperor stood in front of the dragon god. Although his figure was small, he was imposing and did not back down in the face of the dragon god's gaze. What a joke! The dragon race that could make the mad god retreat with just a gaze was probably not even born yet. The dragon god was silent for a few seconds. Su Ran moved his mouth and said, "I believe that you are the main god 700 years later, but how can I believe what you say? Who can guess what will happen 700 years later? How can I know if your request for the dragon race to go to your world is a scam?" "How about this?" Lin Muyu frowned and walked forward. She glanced at the 9 great ancestor dragons and suddenly stepped on the boulder on the ground. Suddenly, the power of the holy martial arts rippled and the ground began to crack, turning into the scene that happened in the demon world. Countless evil titans frantically devoured the spiritual power leaking from the underground of the demon world, as well as the ferocious figure of Aelios holding lightning. After nearly half a minute, Lin Muyu shook her palm and retracted the illusion. She said, "You should have seen what the demon world looks like, right? There is not much difference between the demon world 700 years later and the current demon world, but it will be different 700 years later. The war between the demon world and the Protoss has just ended and a new strong enemy has arrived. Moreover, it is a group of enemies that are strong enough to destroy the world. We need the help of the ancestor dragons from 700 years ago." The golden dragon god narrowed his eyes and said, "Everything in the world has its ups and downs. This is the law of heaven and earth. As the Protoss, shouldn't you respect the law of heaven and earth and let nature take its course?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor shouted in a low voice, "Everyone is about to die. Why are you still following your grandmother's legs?" Roar, roar. For a moment, the crimson flame ancestor dragon and the frost ancestor dragon bared their ferocious fangs together. Their auras were powerful, and frost and flame soared into the sky as if they would swallow the 7 luminaries demon emperor at any time. "Don't be rude to my king." The lightning ancestor dragon also warned in a low voice. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said coldly, "What is there to be rude about? They are just a group of old fellows. Big brother, don't talk so much." Lin Muyu took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "Ancestral dragons, although the rise and fall of the people are decided by the heaven and earth, there is an old saying that everything depends on one's own effort. How can you speculate the true meaning of the heaven and earth? How can you be sure that the heaven and earth did not ask us, the so-called gods, to risk our lives to change the impending misfortune?" Anyone would say, "Let nature take its course," but isn't that too pedantic and cowardly? The golden dragon deity Su Ran's eyes widened in anger. Immediately, the dragon realm trembled, and the domain around Lin Muyu began to crumble and disintegrate. This was an extremely powerful domain. Once one was no match for it, they would fall into a desperate situation. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his Pangu axe. "Don't move. I'll do it myself," Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, and the sword intent of the AO sword tactics broke out of her body. There were no weapons, but it had already broken and disintegrated the domain of the dragon god like a gust of wind sweeping the fallen leaves. Buzz, 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 blood-colored lightning surged around, forming a self-protective domain. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and looked extremely majestic. Her eyes were full of fighting spirit. She looked up at the dragon god and said, "Why? Does the dragon god want to test my ability?" The golden dragon god narrowed his eyes and said, "There's no need to try. I believe what you said. I've seen through your heart just now. You are the martial god of the future and have the strongest power in the world. Why do you need to ask us old guys for help?" "I'm no longer the strongest." Lin Muyu loosened her fists and said, "The heavenly realm has been breached again and again. Our enemies are getting stronger and stronger, but the power of our laws is getting weaker and weaker. If the heavenly sound scroll is destroyed again, then the last flame of the righteous path will also be extinguished with our deaths in battle. The whole world will fall into oblivion, and your dragon clan will also be a member of the world." The dragon god was silent. On the side, the storm ancestral dragon opened his mouth wide and said, "Since tens of thousands of years ago, the dragon clan has been hunted by your god clan. We have become your mounts, become the food on the dining table. Since then, the dragon clan and the god clan have sworn an oath to never coexist with each other. Now, the 9 great ancestor dragons are lying dormant here with the last orthodox bloodline of the dragon clan, but you have come to disturb our peace. May I ask, does the god clan really care about the common people? Are the dragon clan not one of the living beings?" "One of the living beings." Lin Muyu raised her head and said, "But the law since ancient times has been that the weak are prey to the strong. Not only did you dragon clan protect yourselves, you actually didn't fight for the slightest benefit in the face of a desperate situation. You were hunted by the god clan and fled here to lie dormant. Isn't this your own choice? If the dragon clan dares to fight to the death, do you think the god clan can kill you all?" With that, she pointed to the dragon god and said, "And you, dragon god, your life has clearly not come to an end yet, but you actually chose to annihilate yourself here with the 9 great ancestor dragons. If this is not escape and cowardice, then what is it? Today, I am not here to beg you to help me resist the strong enemy, but to give you a chance to rebuild your glory. Choose to annihilate yourself and turn into a pile of dragon bones, or choose to fight for all living beings and fight for a certain status for the future dragon clan. Choose for yourself." The dragon god sighed and said, "Martial god, you are a very good lobbyist, but can the dragon race really believe you?" Lin Muyu took a deep look at him and said, "Dragon god, do you know what the dragon race will be like after hundreds of years? Your race has almost been wiped out, and all the dragons have been used as mounts and pets. If that is the case, the world will say that you are the race closest to the god clan. Do you deserve this sentence? The selfish god race in your mouth can fight for all living beings, so why can't you?" The dragon god was stunned. The earth ancestor dragon moved its heavy body, and the power of rock slowly flowed on its body. It opened a pair of brown eyes, looked at Lin Muyu and said, "Your Majesty dragon god, I believe in him. Am willing to use the last strength in my life to fight for all living beings and for the future of the dragon race. Even if I die, I will not regret it." The lightning ancestor dragon also prostrated on the ground and said, "Your Majesty, I also believe in this boy. I am willing to go to 700 years later to fight for the future of the dragon race and for all living beings. Even if I die, I will not regret it." The red flame ancestor dragon and the ice ancestor dragon also prostrated together and bowed their heads, saying, "We are also willing to go to the future of the dragon race and offer the last glory of our lives to the righteous path between heaven and earth." The dragon god opened his eyes tremblingly and said, "Old friends, do you know how strong the enemy is? In that moment just now, I peeked into the future 700 years later. Those enemies. One strike from them is enough to destroy an entire plane. Their power can burn the heavens and transform the earth. They are even more powerful than us. Are you really willing to fight against such enemies? The 8 great ancestor dragons lowered their heads and said, "Even if I die, I will not regret it." Lin Muyu also took a step back and knelt on one knee in front of the dragon god, saying, "Your Majesty Dragon God, I swear here, as long as the ancestor dragons fight for all living beings, there will definitely be a place for the dragon race in the god realm 700 years later. I will do my best to fight for the survival and status of the dragon race. If I go back on my word, may the heavens and earth destroy me." The dragon god's long beard swayed slowly in the wind. He seemed to be a little tired and said, "In that case, the dragon race will participate in the war, but not only the ancestral dragons, I will lead thousands of dragon race to the future. The ancestral dragons will participate in the war, and the rest of the dragon race will find a place to rest." "Why, Your Majesty?" The lightning ancestor dragon was shocked. "I spied on the imminent destruction of the dragon race. Following our annihilation, the strength of the dragon race will decline day by day. The northern divine King Dongming will lead an army to annihilate our descendants. Only by going to the future can we avoid this disaster." The 7 luminaries demon emperor coughed and said, "In fact, 700 years later, Dongming will still be here, and he will fight side by side with us." Lin Muyu added, "But I can guarantee that the dragon race will be absolutely safe." The dragon god said, "I am not worried about this. I am just worried about whether the martial god has the ability to guide us to the future 700 years later, and whether he can find the accurate time node." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "I can try, but the ancestral dragons must share some of their power with me, otherwise I will not be able to take thousands of dragon race to the future to seek refuge." "Then try." In the afternoon, there was silence in the dragon's domain. More than 1,000 dragon race surrounded Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor, while the ancestral dragons were lined up in 2 rows, each with their front claws on the former's body, while the dragon god and the red flame ancestor dragon put their sharp claws on Lin Muyu's left and right shoulders. Suddenly, a mighty dragon power poured into her body, causing Lin Muyu to tremble uncontrollably. The strength of the dragon race was enough to shock the entire universe, but the dragon race did not compete, so it was the god race who dominated the heaven realm. Slowly closing her eyes, a huge blue array surged under her feet. Lin Muyu tried hard to find the time node, and at the same time, she expanded the teleportation array so that it almost covered half of the dragon's domain, surrounding thousands of dragon race members. "Found it!" Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, and stamped her feet on the ground. Ping! A light burst out, and for a moment, the entire space of the dragon's domain began to distort. The power that could seize the mysteries of heaven and earth rapidly spread out, and the many dragon race members suddenly disappeared. The rest of the dragon race were stunned. The place that was originally full of dragon race members was only a bunch of white whirling air waves and nothing else. They had already gone to the world 700 years later. Boom, boom, boom. On the Luoyan mountain, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Accompanied by a huge whirlpool, figures flew out one by one. They were the ancient dragon, and in addition, Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor. The entire Luoyan mountain was in an uproar, and all the gods were rejoicing for the safe return of the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Lin Muyu. At the same time, the awe-inspiring and inviolable dragon power surged on the Luoyan mountain, faintly filling the righteousness of the Luoyan mountain. With the arrival of the 9 great ancestral dragons, the power of the righteous and evil paths seemed to be balanced again. Roar! A sharp roar tore the sky and earth apart. It was a huge steel figure, surrounded by thick demonic energy. It was the new leader of the Titans, Stanek. The Titans arrived very quickly. Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and the 9 great ancestral dragons had just landed, and they had already arrived at Mount Deshang. Prepare for the decisive battle. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised Pangu's axe and let out a roar that soared to the sky. Chapter 1291. The battle axe fell like a meteor and smashed into the back of a wyvern. It instantly pierced through the dragon's armor and split it in two. The wyvern didn't even have time to let out a miserable howl. With a clang, Lin Muyu pulled out the Xianyuan sword. The power of the holy martial surged out of her body and quickly increased the power of the gods and the ancestral dragons. At the same time, she shouted, "Other than the 9 ancestral dragons, the rest of the dragon clan leave the battlefield immediately." The dragon clan was only participating in the battle as cannon fodder. There was no need to let them die in vain. In the sky, Aelios held the lightning in his hand. He didn't want to say anything else. He pointed the lightning at the Luoyan mountain and shouted, "Fight! Kill them all." The 7 luminaries demon emperor pointed their battle axes at the sky. "Fight!" Whoosh whoosh whoosh, one figure after another soared into the sky and engaged in a fierce battle with the titans. Lin Muyu stepped on the void and bent his body slightly. He suddenly rose from the ground, and his sword turned into a blazing light that went straight for Aelios. In the entire righteous path, he was probably the only one worthy of being called Aelios. "Ha! Do you still think I'm the same as before?" Alos had a look of disdain on his face as he raised both his arms. Demonic clouds covered the sky, and with a roar from Alos, a power that could overturn the heavens and earth descended from the sky. Lin Muyu had seen this kind of power before, the Tower of God Slaying, but the power of Alos in front of her had far surpassed that of the Tower of God Slaying. They were not on the same level at all. He had already gathered the power of gods and demons, reaching an immeasurable level of power. Without hesitation, he used the full power of the holy martial arts and the full power of the proud sword technique. Lin Muyu clashed with Aelios with a towering aura. Suddenly, the entire star universe seemed to tremble. The impact of their attacks even pushed the powerhouses, including the Frost Ancestral Dragon and the Flaming Ancestral Dragon, away. The few hundred meters in the sky became the battlefield that only the two of them could occupy. "Brother Yu." Qin Yin held the Donghua sword. Her beautiful eyes were full of worry. She couldn't even enter the battlefield between Lin Muyu and Aelios. The power was too strong. Feng Jixing, Sidu Sen, and Wei Chou formed a 3-man team that kept pushing forward. One titan after another was killed or shot to death. The 9 ancestral dragons were not to be outdone as they continued to attack. Streams of dragon flames and powerful physical attacks tore at the titans. However, their strength was the opposite. The evil titans were powerful, and the righteous gods were having a hard time as well. The Earth Ancestral Dragon's wings were forcefully torn apart by the 2 titans' attacks. However, it also bit the head of one of the titans and tore it off. The moment it killed the Earth Ancestral Dragon, more than 10 titans continuously attacked it. Battle axes and hammers almost instantly tore apart the Earth Ancestral Dragon's protective dragon force. Immediately after, its body was completely smashed into pieces. Roar! The Frost Ancestral Dragon froze 3 titans with its dragon breath. It whipped its tail and crushed their shells. However, there were too many titans and they surrounded it from all directions. Almost every ancestral dragon had to deal with more than 10 titans. In the blink of an eye, most of them were injured. Even the dragon god might not be able to escape unscathed from such a fierce battle. On the other hand, among the gods, only higher gods like Shi Yan, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Ziyao, and Dong Ming could kill 1 to 3 titans on their own. Any more and they might be killed by the titans. After absorbing the power of the demonic realm, every attack of the titans was so powerful that ordinary gods could not withstand it at all. Along with miserable howls, countless gods died in the fierce battle. Even the great void temple of the Luoyan mountain was shattered and disintegrated by the strong airflow. Bang! On the battlefield, after the 3rd attack, Lin Muyu's arms were already sore, and blood seeped out of her mouth and nose. Even as an Einherjar, she was no longer a match for this crazy Aelios. Beezizi! The lightning was crackling with electricity. Aelios burst into laughter. He suddenly thrust his spear forward, directly breaking through Lin Muyu's upstanding energy shield. In that split second, Lin Muyu swung her long sword and knocked away the lightning. Her figure rose, and she landed a heavy elbow strike on Aelios' shoulder. Bang! Divine power surged. Aelios only felt pain, but was not injured. He fiercely hugged Linmuyu's waist. The demonic flames on his body turned into electricity and wreaked havoc. In an instant, Linmuyu's body was almost melted. She was in great pain. Aelios was using the power of a small half of the demonic realm to attack Linmuyu. One could only imagine the power of this attack. You! A loud roar came from the front. The Pangu axe landed on Aelios' back with a force that could split the heavens and earth apart. However, the protective aura formed by the electricity knocked the Pangu axe away. The Seven Brilliance demon monarch swung his fist and punched Aelios' waist without any hesitation. Bang! This was the power of the Eight Lights celestial river. The power of one punch was enough to shake heaven and earth. In pain, Aelios let go of Linmuyu. He raised his hand and swung the lightning with all his might. Pft! Linmuyu groaned in pain. His left arm was cut off by the lightning. The piercing pain made him lose all his combat strength in an instant. He took a few steps back. His chest was hit by Aelios's lightning again from a distance. His armor cracked, and blood flowed non-stop. He stood in the air and stared blankly at Aelios and the Seven Luminaries demon emperor in the distance. He could not even hold the Xinyuan sword firmly. The disparity in strength was something Linmuyu had never imagined. Get lost! Aelios turned around and punched. He forcefully pushed the Seven Luminaries demon emperor away. Not only that, but the Seven Luminaries demon emperor's right fist was drenched in blood. Even the bones in his fist were shattered. Arg! The Seven Luminaries demon emperor quickly retreated. He held his right wrist and groaned in pain. His eyes were red. He knew that Linmuyu's injury was more serious. Buzz! Suddenly, the Seven Luminaries demon emperor could not move. It was as if his entire body was being controlled. Then, a red circular barrier formed around him, holding him in the air. On the other side, it was connected to Aelios' palm. He was constantly absorbing the Seven Luminaries demon emperor's divine power. Bastard! The Seven Luminaries demon emperor punched several times, but he could not break the barrier. This must be a martial art that Aelios had learned in the demon realm. This kind of power was far above the gods. Come and serve me! Aelios laughed loudly. He suddenly flashed past. Lightning shook Shiyan's blazing moonsword away. He landed a heavy punch, causing Shiyan to retreat nearly 100 meters. Her body was also instantly immobilized. Shiyan was also controlled. The power of the frigid moon in her body was continuously extracted, becoming part of Aelios's power. No, under Shiyan's gaze, dozens of angels were crushed by Aelios. Even Eva, Li Fei, and the others were swept away. It was unknown whether they were alive or dead. In the sky, thunder rumbled incessantly. Although most of the Titans had been taken care of, Aelios' power had become the dominator of the entire divine war. No one was Aelios' opponent anymore, and no one could change anything. Master! Rhea rushed to Linmuyu's side. But before she could touch Linmuyu, she was repelled by the lightning in Linmuyu's body. She spat out blood and fell into the mountains. Rhea! Linmuyu wanted to cry. He stood there trembling. He couldn't even muster the slightest bit of strength. In the sky, one high god after another was frozen in place. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Xiao, Sidusin, and Feng Jixing. There was no exception. But the low gods and mid-gods were especially miserable. Almost all of them were killed by Aelios. Sush! The Ho Yi Bao flashed, but the sharp arrow could not penetrate Aelios's body. Wei Chou, run! Roared Linmuyu. But Wei Chou refused to leave. He shot an arrow and hid behind a giant floating rock, using it as a barrier to escape from Aelios's pursuit. But the giant rock buzzed and crackled with lightning. It suddenly collapsed. An enormous palm tore through the rock and grabbed Wei Chou's body. The air behind Aelios dispersed and a huge, malevolent demonic figure appeared. He cackled and said, "You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. You don't know the meaning of death." Wei Chou, Lin Muyu's body trembled. Tears flowed from his eyes. Amidst the cracking sounds of bones, Wei Chou was in so much pain that tears flowed from his eyes. The whole Yi-Bao fell from his hand. His body fell limply in the demonic palm. At the moment of his death, he looked at Lin Muyu in the sky and murmured, "Your subordinate will follow Lin General for the rest of my life. I will not regret it." Boom! Wei Chou's divinity violently exploded, completely blowing up the demonic palm. He had actually chosen to commit suicide. "Wei Chou, you're a good one." Sidhu Sen's body was shackled. Tears streamed down his face as he roared, "I would rather die than let the path of strength be used by the demonic path. Wait for me. I, Sidhu Sen, will accompany you." Gritting his teeth, Sidhu Sen's body shone with golden light as his strength burst forth. "Don't stay. Sidhu Sen, if you die, I will never forgive you." Lin Muyu knelt in the air. She was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Sidhu Sen knelt down as tears streamed down his face. Alios laughed loudly. His face was ferocious. "Lin Muyu, you call yourself the martial god? But who can you save? You invited these ancestral dragons, but now they have turned into a pile of desolate bones. What else can you do to make me your enemy?" On the ground, the corpses of the 9 great ancestral dragons were scattered. They had all perished for the righteous path. Puchi! A bolt of lightning pierced through Lin Muyu's chest and lifted him into the air. That was a strike from Alios' index finger. Just like that, Lin Muyu's broken body was lifted into the air. Alios cackled. "I want you to see your friends die one by one. I want you to see them die, and you want to see the destruction of the righteous path." Lin Muyu closed his eyes in pain. A small amount of holy martial power slowly appeared on his right fist, but a layer of golden light quickly plated his body. The sovereign lattice in his body evaporated and dissipated the last of his strength. He had chosen to self-destruct. You've gone mad." The 7 luminaries demon emperor violently smashed the protective wall. His fists were already a bloody mess. This fearless demon emperor was crying like a child. Lin Muyu opened his drowsy eyes and looked at Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, and the 7 luminaries demon emperor from afar. His vision was blurred by tears. He murmured, "I'm sorry, I'm useless. I can't accompany you to the end of your journey, Hong." At the moment when the power of the godhood exploded, Lin Muyu fell into a state of silence. He could hear countless voices in his ears, and he could see countless silhouettes. It was as though all the humans and living beings in the world were whispering in his ears. This was the prayers of all living beings to the gods, the power of faith that had not appeared in a very long time. He felt the fear of all living beings. He felt their helplessness and pleading. The world could not be destroyed like this. Lin Muyu's right arm trembled. The people, beasts, and plants on the Xinyuan sword began to fly. It was as if they were proving the power of this sword. Lin Muyu was still immersed in the connection with all living beings. He murmured, "The Mahayana heavenly Tao protects all living beings. Please, lend me your power. Just a little, lend me your power." This was a kind of enlightenment. It was enlightenment from the martial god. At this moment, everyone in the millions of planes in the world seemed to hear his voice. They did not know who he was, but they could feel the helpless sorrow and pleading in his voice. They closed their eyes and acquiesced to his request. Strands of the power of all living beings were extracted and gathered into Lin Muyu's body to repair his damaged body. Under the despairing gazes of the gods, Lin Muyu's right arm was bathed in a green light. It was a power that came from all living beings. It was an extremely vast power that surpassed even the demon realm and the god realm. Boom! With a loud explosion, the protective barrier around Lin Muyu shattered. He had already broken free from Alios' imprisonment. With a low growl, his domain surged and blocked Alios' lightning outside his body. Step by step, Lin Muyu took to the air and walked towards Alios. "What happened to you?" Alios gritted his teeth. He actually felt fear. He growled, "Stop him." More than a dozen titans charged at him, including the Titan Lord Stanek. However, These titans crashed into the green barrier a few meters away from Linmuyu. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, and even Stanek fell along with them. How could this be? Allos felt that he was locked in place by the domain and could not move. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao shouted at the same time, their eyes filled with relief. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Citizen, Feng Jixing, and the others did not know what had happened, but they knew that Lin Muyu must have comprehended some kind of power, a power that the gods did not have. The Xinyuan sword was slowly raised, green light swirling around it. Lin Muyu looked straight at Allos and said calmly, "I hope that there will be no more despicable demons like you in this world." Chaos of the first luminaries. It was just a simple first luminaries, but it was something that Allos could not stop. The mighty power of all living beings whizzed past, turning Allos' body into dust. Boom! 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 The airflow surged, and the imprisoned gods were reborn, but some had already passed away forever. Lin Muyu looked at the ground. Ho Yi's bow had landed in the wreckage of the Great Void Temple, glowing. He was silent, tears streaming down his face. By Feng, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Dong Ming, Shi Yan, and the others walked over one by one and followed Lin Muyu into the wreckage of the Great Void Temple. As if they had a tacit understanding, they all knelt around Lin Muyu and said, "Greetings, King of the Gods." Lin Muyu looked at the gods with red eyes, but he did not say a word. After a long time, he said slowly, "May all living beings be treated with kindness, and may all living beings live forever." The next year, the Hall of Great Accomplishment and the Great Void Temple were rebuilt. 2 years later, the Southern Divinity Realm was rebuilt. 3 years later, the Eastern Divinity Realm rebuilt Dragon Domain and worshipped the 9 great ancestral dragons. The world changes, but the heart remains the same. Who knew how many people would still remember this sentence after 1,000 or 10,000 years? End of text. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.